going on, everybody? Welcome back to RAD Company. Man, I don't even know what season this is. This must be season, I don't know, 5, 6, maybe, for RAD Company. But we're back. Guys, this is episode 2 of the new season. If you guys haven't checked it out, 2 weeks ago, I had special guest Dinosaur Dracula kicked off the new season as my guest a couple weeks ago. So if you haven't seen that video after this one tonight, if you go to my playlist, RAD Company, you get all the episodes of all the seasons with all my special guests. And what I like to do with this show is I like to scour my social medias. It could be TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and try to find some people that maybe I feel like don't get, a lot of eyeballs on them from people maybe in my audience, like things that I'm watching, people that I'm watching their content. I think they're doing a hell of a job, and maybe they just haven't been seen by some of the people who watch my content, and I try to shine a light on them, bring them in. I want to learn more about these people. Maybe you guys want to learn about these people as well. I like what they're doing. Let's see who's in the house before I bring in my special guest tonight. Make sure to come say hello. I am here live right now. Storytime Slots. What's going on, man? Welcome to the show. Real Allie is in the house. What's going on? Thanks for the link. Oh, you coming over from 80s' channel? Excellent. Ring, how are you? What up, Pat? Roll out. Pigs here. John Doe, what's up, man? Go check out John Doe Juggalo over on the Tube Ski. He's a rad dude. Rad Company is back. Thank you. I'm glad you guys appreciate the intro to the series here. Thanks, buddy. Jesse, what's up, man? What's up? What a jewel is? I don't know. You're sending jewels at me? I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that is. Oh, baby. It's going to get rad and bonkers. What is going on, Jane Doe? How are you? Let's see. Nard Kick is in the house. 2 nights in a row. Let's go, boys. I am spreading the love. I try. 80s, you guys are going to learn about him tonight, as will I. You guys are nice. What's up, guys? What up, dude? Rainy Day Thrifts in the house. Ben Alfonso. If you guys live in the New Jersey area, go check out Rainy Day Thrift. What up, Donovan? All right. So again, this is the newest episode of RAD Company in the new season. And I wanted to bring on someone different. Someone like, I think he's only on YouTube, which is wild to me. Like that, mostly when I see people that's like, hey, they're on YouTube and Instagram. I think he's just on YouTube. I could be wrong, but I scoured my Instagram and I didn't find him there. But I've been watching his content probably for the last, I don't know, maybe year, maybe. But I like what he's doing over there, man. He's got a different perspective on things like physical media. And I really appreciate that. It's kind of in the same vein as me. Like, we're not dedicated to one format. And I think that's what I can really appreciate. And he kind of talks about collecting tips and, tips of the trade and things he's happy about, things he's not, and showcases all different formats, which I think is really cool. So I'm going to bring him in now, guys. So get ready to meet Mr. 80s Made, the 80s Made consumer. What is going on, man? Welcome to the show.
Hey, brother. Glad to be here.
Man, I'm happy you're here, man. So guys, we were talking a little bit before we started, and I was trying to figure out like how I came across your content. Like maybe it came up, I don't know. You said maybe you saw me pop in one of your lives once. I don't know how I would have found you. Maybe just by the name 80s Made, it just kind of came across my plate. I have no idea. Yeah. But I have been watching your stuff, and you're putting out a lot of content, man.
Yeah, I've been doing this for about 4 years now, and I'm at a time in my life where it just kind of works. My youngest kid's now a lot older, and I can spend a lot more time making videos. So I'm able to put one out every day, but it took a while to get here because, it was just dependent on the family schedule and trying to fit it in. But now it's just kind of working where everything just works.
Yeah, you're rocking and rolling now. I didn't realize you're doing a video a day. That's impressive. When people can do that, I'm actually very impressed with that because, I do like maybe 2 videos in a live. So I try to get out like 3 pieces of content, long form every week. Yeah. But daily, man, is crazy. Like I'm impressed that you can do that. Do you have a schedule with work? Like, do you work from home or do you have to try to just squeeze it in?
So I got out of the military And then my wife wanted to get married, so we got married, and then we had a kid. And then instead of going back to work, we decided to do the whole stay at home homeschool thing, and that. So I ended up just being a stay at home dad, and so this is my job now. But it took a while to get here because, like I said, the family thing came first. Always, this was just kind of squeezing it in, but now it's just working. But yeah, that was the thing. As I was in the Navy for 6 years, and then I got out.
Hmm. So you've only been really rocking on YouTube for about 4, or did you start earlier and then really
Nope.
start hammering it out?
Nope, 4 years. 4 years.
Wow.
I started, and then, like, it was just weird. Like I said, I was trying to fit it in where I could, and so I would wait till my family would go to bed. I had a young kid. All my older kids were all grown up, and so, like, I just had to worry about that little one, and so I put everybody to bed, and then I would live stream in the middle of the night. Like, I'd start at 11 o'clock at night and go till whenever, and it was weird because I talked about movies always, but the only people that were awake during that time was this comic book crowd. And it kind of got weird. I liked a lot of those guys. I met a lot of great friends there, but I just wanted to talk about movies. And, so then I switched my schedule and I stopped live streaming at night. I started live streaming in the morning on Saturday mornings. And then I've just, I was trying to get videos out during the day, but now it's just like, since we moved, my kid is a lot older. And so we do the homeschool thing, but it's a lot more self-sufficient. And so I'm able to just knock out a video every day. And then Sunday, I usually take the day off, and Saturday I live stream. So that's it.
Now, maybe you know what? Maybe the Saturday morning stream is where I maybe caught you somehow, because I
Mhm.
do remember, sometimes Saturday I use for like errands, or if I work, I get out like probably around the time that you go live, because I think you're West Coast, correct?
I was East Coast, and then because
Oh,
I
you were
lived in
East.
Virginia, and then we just moved to Colorado. So I'm mountain time. I'm in the middle.
Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe because you're a little behind me then. So that's why I
Yeah.
didn't know if maybe I caught you like on a Saturday morning
No,
somewhere. I don't remember.
as when I first saw you in the live stream, and I just recently found you myself. Like I was telling you, I found you through your love for Corey Haim and License to Drive, and being one of my all-time favorite movies that really I don't think gets talked about enough. And I was like, man, I love that movie. And I stopped to listen, and I was like, this guy's got some great insights. I started watching a lot of your content, but then, like, it was, as I was telling you, like, I didn't grow up around horror. Like, all of my friends, like, the mainstream horror movies, Freddy, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like all the mainstream stuff was just there. But all that obscure stuff, the horror, like Anchor Bay, like any of that, like, I was just not into it. Not because I wasn't into it, it's because none of my friends were, none of my family was. And so anytime I would try to, like, veer into that direction, it was always on my own, or finding some weird stuff like on cable TV on a Saturday afternoon. But, like, when it was time to, like, hang out with other people, it was never there. And so seeing
Hmm.
that, like, that was your, like, core favorites, I'm like, man, some of these are great. And speaking of that, because, like, you had mentioned something I haven't seen in years, I had to track it down. And that's the dangerous thing watching you, is that I'm like, man, there's so many hidden gems and things I've seen, things I want to see. And then I was like, anytime I'm like, I'm pulling out the wallet and just buying stuff because
Dude, it
Garrett
happens,
said I had
man.
to. But I found this because I'm pretty sure you mentioned it the other day.
Yeah, the Willies, baby. Oh
So I
yeah.
have seen this before, but it had been such a long time. And I was like, oh, I got to track that down. And I was pretty sure it was you were talking about. And so, like, I have a ton of, like, weird, obscure things in my collection now. And it's just from those your videos. And so that's why
Man,
I really latched onto your videos. But then you showed up in one of my live streams, but it was still when I was in Virginia.
hmm.
So must have been like a
It might have
Saturday
been like one
morning
of those
thing.
things where maybe like if you commented on something of mine, like maybe that reel with License to Drive,
Yeah.
and then when I saw the name 80s Made, maybe I like checked it out because I was like,
Mhm.
oh, that's cool. Cause I'm like, of course I love all that stuff. So I was like, maybe I checked it out, and then that's where I got a hold of you, whatever. But yeah, no, man, like horror has been like a big part of my life for a long time. But I mean, it really for me got really hardcore like in my teenage years,
Mhm.
where I know a lot of people who've been watching boatloads of horror like at a younger age. But like The Willies was a horror movie that I saw probably in middle school, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
because I can remember exactly where I was when I saw this. How it was like Halloween night. My next door neighbor, she had gotten hurt playing soccer. So her and I were probably in like seventh or eighth grade. And she's like, oh, do you want to just go rent a movie or something, or watch a movie on TV? I forget how it went, but we watched The Willies. I think we rented it. And
Mhm.
that was the first time I had seen that movie. And it was stuck with me in my head ever since, because I was so big into like those gateway horror movies. I was obsessed with like Are You Afraid of the Dark when I was a
Oh,
kid,
yeah.
and X-Files, like those were the big ones for me that really kind of gatewayed me into the
Mhm.
genre. And then my uncle kind of took it over from there once I became a teenager and got me into all the big stuff. But growing up, like it was all about, obviously Karate Kid and Ninja
Yeah.
Turtles and Batman and Back to the Future and Teen Wolf and, all that Bill and Ted's, like all that stuff was like my bread and
Mhm.
butter as a kid
Mhm.
throughout my childhood. Now I have a tough time with new stuff, to be honest. Like I have real
Yeah.
tough time. And I feel almost like old and grumpy about it. And I don't
Right.
like to feel that way, but it's like I try, but it's just it
No.
doesn't feel like I don't feel like I'm watching like it just feels very fabricated to me and
Right.
I can't figure it out still.
Well, so I've talked about this on my own channel before, just because it's the same kind of thing. And like when I was a kid, I remember my dad had this thing because my dad liked a lot of older movies, but like we're talking like Fred Astaire, Lucille Ball, like really old stuff. And like I like it now that he's passed away, but like it took a long time for me to get into it. But when I was a kid, I had this chip on my shoulder, and I was like, "You're just a stupid old man," because like I watched Bill and Ted, and I remember he got mad at some of the dirty jokes and stuff, and I just had that in the back of my mind. And then like now I'm in that boat where I'm like, man, all this new stuff sucks. It's either really crappy or it's mediocre. And then when it's mediocre, everyone's like, oh my God, that's the greatest thing ever. And it's
Mhm.
not. And then when I talk about it, and I'm like, people accuse me of having like rose colored glasses or cherry picking the best stuff from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And I was like, no, because you take the mediocre stuff from that time, and it doesn't even still, like, the new stuff doesn't even compare to what was mediocre back then. So you can't tell me I'm cherry picking. I'm just saying none of it compares. And so it's there was a time where I thought it was my turn to be a stupid old man and just have the same thing my dad had, where I was like, all this new stuff sucks. No, it really sucks because I can
And I think it's just
appreciate the
the way
stuff
that
my
they
dad
film
did.
movies now is so different that it like I can see through it. Like it doesn't
Mhm.
everything feels fake. Like again, and I also think with the 80s, 90s, even 70s, all this stuff, like they took so much chances with things, like things
Oh
that never would
yeah.
make sense now. Like you can't, say, "Oh, I have a great movie. It's going to be about this kid who goes to high school, who plays basketball, and then he's going to turn into a wolf, and like nobody really cares, and he becomes the popular kids, and all the girls
Yeah.
want him." Like I just don't think something like that flies now, right?
No,
Like so when they used
definitely
to bring
not.
these like down back there, I'm watching, and I'll say this, my favorite Stallone movie, which is Over the Top. I mean, does that work now? Do you come
No, it
to
doesn't.
the do you say, hey, it's gonna be a truck driver? He's gonna be in an arm wrestling tournament, and he's gonna get his
Yeah.
son back. Like it
And
doesn't
people are
work.
like, yeah, they're like, "What are you talking about? This makes no sense." Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, there's so many great movies like that. And when you say it on paper, you're just like, "How did this stuff get made?" And yeah, it was a wild time back then. And I think, just growing up in the 80s and 90s, I think it was a blessing because I love all eras of cinema, and becoming, and I never considered myself a cinephile, but becoming just this like movie guy and really just wrapping my entire life around it since I was 16. I've just every era of cinema, there's gems, there's things to enjoy. And so it's not just the 80s and 90s, but I grew up then. And I think that was the best time, for real. Like those movies, they stick with you, but people are still talking, and not just us, not people our age. There's a younger generation that is latching on to some of the coolest movies from the 80s and 90s, and they're talking about them like they just discovered, gold.
Yeah. Now, do you also think too? Back then, I feel like, we didn't take things for granted as much because we didn't have any other choice. So, for instance, I'm going to give this prime example. I remember renting Mac and Me when I was a kid, and
Yeah.
so my brother and I loved it, but I don't know if it's one of those things where when you rent a movie, you had it for X amount of days, and it was like
Mhm.
you're either going to watch it till you got to get rid of it because you got nothing else to
Yep.
watch, and you almost kind of like become you kind of fall in love with it because you're like I couldn't
Yeah.
just change the channel after 10 minutes, right? Like it's
Well,
not the
no,
same as it
exactly.
is
And
now
so
where it's like
there's
you
another
have to wait.
phenomenon that's just the exact same thing. It's just adjacent. When you were a kid and you bought an album, you bought a CD, you bought it
Exactly.
for one or two songs, you liked the entire album by the time the week was over, weekend was over, whatever, because you had a financial investment in that. And whether all those songs sucked or not, or you didn't like them, the one or two songs, you were listening to the whole damn thing. And so it's the same phenomenon. It's just that financial connection then creates that emotional connection.
Mhm. Yeah, I think, and that's one of the things I think that's kind of missing now is I think that we were lucky enough to have that, and
Mhm.
renting movies or buying something. And especially as kids, it wasn't just, a click of a button. Like it was a big thing where I saved up money and I said, okay, Dad, bring me to the store. I want to get this CD. And I got that
Mhm.
CD. And I knew I probably wasn't going to get a CD again for probably like another month.
Yeah.
So I had to make that value, that time
Yeah.
worth it. And, really let's do it. And renting video games, the same thing, like
Same thing. Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And you know what else too? Maybe it was you. Did you do a video talking about Xbox having that HD DVD attachment?
Probably somewhere because
Who
I
was that?
did a
Was
whole
that
video,
John
a couple
Doe?
videos on HD DVDs, so probably, yeah.
I might have been Jeff that said it, but I remember that I was watching something and I was like, I can't believe they remembered that because
Yeah.
I had an Xbox 360 during the whole
Mhm.
Blu-ray HD DVD war, and Sony PlayStation you could use the Blu-rays. So I was like, oh shit, I don't have a
Yeah. Yeah,
PlayStation.
yeah.
But
Well,
then
that's why
Xbox 360 made like an HD DVD piece that like connected to your
yeah,
Xbox.
yeah, yeah, yep.
And I remember like trying to get that so bad. And then by the time I was like, I'm gonna get it, HD DVD like lost the war. So I never ended up
Yeah,
picking it
yeah.
up. But what a wild thing that
Oh,
was.
it really is, and so, like, I actually lucked out because, I wanted that PlayStation 3 so bad, and it was the cheapest Blu-ray player, and that's the only reason I wanted it because I was a PlayStation guy. That was the only reason I chose the Blu-ray is because I was a PlayStation guy. It was the cheapest way to get into it, and then it just worked out. But then since then, like, just in the past couple years, I found, what was it? That, oh, the movie with Jessica Simpson and oh, I forget. It's the
Not the
Dukes
Johnny
of
Knoxville
Hazard. Dukes
one.
of Hazard. So
Yeah.
Dukes
Oh
of
yeah. Yeah.
Hazard
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
never had a Blu-ray, but it has a DVD and it has an HD DVD.
And that's
And
it.
yeah, that's it. That's it. Period. Zero. No Blu-ray. And so
Hmm.
then I happened to find it at a thrift store, and so I was like, "Well, I got this. Now I got to get an HD DVD player." And it worked no problem. And that started my HD DVD collection. And then I found out that Warner Brothers HD DVDs were notorious for disc rot because the way people were storing them, they used a cheaper, inferior glue or whatever. And so I'm lucky that mine still works, but like it's well documented that like none of the Warner Brothers titles work and most people's Dukes of Hazard doesn't work. And so I was like, man, so I've kept my DVD just in case, but that got me on
Mhm.
that journey. And then I found out afterwards that a lot of the Warner HD DVDs don't work well. But yeah, so I collect every format because for
Well,
me,
that's
it's
what I was
never
gonna get
been about
into
the format.
now.
Huh?
Is what was your journey like? Like, were you always I always loved movies, but I have always had a collector's mindset ever since I
Mhm.
was a kid, no matter what it was. I could go to McDonald's and get a toy from the Happy Meal thing, and then I wanted every single one. And then, like it never ended. My first toy, like action figure, was Skeletor. And of
Mhm.
course, it was like He-Man for the next, 2 years of my life
Right.
and trying to get everything. And then a Christmas came and it's like, oh
Oh
my God, I
yeah.
need Grayskull, I need Slime Pit, I need this. And no matter what it was in my life, I became so addicted to those things that I feel like I knew something like this was going to happen eventually, like when I was going to actually have money
Yeah.
to just get hooked in. And VHS tapes, I wasn't collecting until I
Mhm.
actually had money. I was
Mhm.
collecting CDs for a while. But growing up, like we had VHS tapes, but it was always like, we got three at Christmas, and
Mhm.
that held us over until the next Christmas. And
Yeah.
then when I got older, I started to really kind of hammer them out. But how about you? Like, did you always collect as well as enjoy, or is this
Oh
something
yeah.
new for you?
Kind of. I mean, obviously, money was the biggest problem, but I grew up poor, and so like I was always fascinated with collections. And so anytime I went to anybody's house that had, just a few of anything, it didn't matter comic books, baseball card, didn't matter what it was. I was like, oh, that was the coolest thing ever. And so like I did whatever I could, mow lawn, shovel driveway, do whatever to earn just enough money to be able to buy a CD or buy a comic book or get. And then I was in that collector, like I just had to have the next coolest one. And I got into it and I collected everything. And so I've been doing it since I was a kid, but it wasn't until I was 16 because I had a job, and then I was able to actually like really dump my entire paycheck into whatever I loved, and it was movies, man. And I all my friends were buying cars and actually putting in like big giant ridiculous stereos into their cars. I didn't. I bought a CRT television. I went to a garage sale and I found an entertainment center. I put that stuff in my bedroom. I took a couch from my grandma's house. I put that in my living room or my bedroom, and then I got a surround sound. And then I ended up getting like the 5-disc Panasonic DVD changer because it was an open box thing at Circuit City, and that was it. And I spent all of my money on that DVD player, and I didn't even have enough money for a DVD, so I had to wait till the next weekend to then actually get a DVD after I got paid again to then be able to watch it. My very first DVD was The Patriot because at the time, like that was the coolest one that was available, and so that was that. And then it never stopped. And I had a few VHS, and around that time I started working at a video rental store. And so like I had a few VHS, but then I got rid of it all, and I was like all DVD, and then I regret it because now I'm getting VHS again. And so yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I've been a
it is
collector ever
wild.
since.
So DVD was like your big. That was like the primary start for you.
Oh
Was
yeah.
DVD.
Yeah, it really was. Like I was all in because I was into technology and stuff. And the thing is, like, people are talking about the background. I've had this stuff. Like I didn't get it for YouTube. Like I had this longer than you. I just started using it in here.
I
And
noticed you had a different backdrop. So
yeah, just because like
is
I'm
this a
like,
different
well,
room?
what was that? No, same
Is it,
room. It's just the what you used to see is just over there.
okay, so
So
you just turned everything.
so this is like the retro corner. That's it.
Hmm.
Yeah. And because this is what I normally live stream from here. And so it was just trying to like, because like all this stuff used to be in other parts of the house, but when we moved, we have this open concept house. And so like I don't have room for anything. And so this was supposed to just be basically wall to wall bookshelves and stuff for the movie collection. And now I kind of have to do it where like downstairs we have the retro video games. I have all the VHS and the laser disc down there, and I got all the boutique stuff over here, and this whole wall is DVDs. And so I have different zones now. But before, like all this stuff is like people are like, oh man, that's so cool. I'm like, I've been using it.
Yeah. No,
I like
that
it.
is great, man. Though, and I'm interested with the tech stuff, but I think this is a great question because I almost asked you this, but you answered it. Jesse said, first DVD ever bought. Anybody remember? For me, it was Army of Darkness. That bust my DVD, Jerry.
Yeah.
I do 100%. It was actually Fright Night. It was the Fright Night DVD. Was the first
man.
DVD I ever bought.
Yeah.
And I think not too far after was Exorcist, and then I think Scary Movie was pretty early on. I think that was a pretty early one for me. But that's a really cool question that if the chat wants to throw them up there, if you guys remember what your first DVD was, I'm curious because again, it was around that late 90s, early 2000s time that I really started to kind of get into it. But you into tech, like were you into all that stuff early? Like I always was fascinated by people that really were into that kind of like high end stuff. Like, I just had a regular DVD player, but when you're like, oh, I bought the 5-disc, like you were really kind of ahead of the game in some aspects, right?
Yeah, for me, like because I said we didn't grow up with a lot of money, and so anything I ever had to have or I ever wanted, I had to earn my own way. And so like I always had the mindset if I was going to have to pay for it, I was going to have the best. But I could never afford the best, and so I always bought used. And so, like even that 5-disc player, it was an open box unit at Circuit City, and so technically it was used, even though it was just sitting on the shelf. And I saved a bunch of money by getting that. And so, like I always got into that, but yeah, I was really into it. I had a full surround sound at 16, and like ended up, I got all my money that my mom expected me to put towards a car, and all of a sudden I had a giant surround sound in my bedroom. So yeah, I've always been into technology, but then that was also the curse, and so it was like probably around 2016 time. So like I've got like close to 28 years of collecting under my belt, and like 2016 time, it was like the turning point for me because that was when 4K was being the buzzword. Like I had a 4K TV for years. I didn't have the 4K player yet, but there weren't a lot of 4Ks out. And like, it was just when people started going, oh, we got to get the 4K. You got to do. And so you start hearing that. And so I started going, and I was like, well, before I would get the new format and dump the old format. But I was like, the 4K was coming out so slow. None of my core favorites. It was just the latest and greatest, the newest popular ones. They were coming out. So I was buying those to add to the collection. But like my core favorites weren't on 4K yet. So I saw no reason to get rid of my Blu-ray collection. But then I realized I still didn't have a ton of movies that I used to own on DVD. And then that just started that journey of retro movie collecting and going after the stuff I didn't have before. I mean, I used to have, but I didn't have any anymore.
Now, did you ever go through a period where you had to dump your collection and restart or anything like
Mhm.
that?
Yeah,
Or
100%. So it wasn't a have to, but like I chose to do it. It was just easier. So when I joined the Navy, it was just easier to leave my entire DVD collection. So I just gave it away, and then I was like, I just want to get Blu-ray anyway. And it was just easier to less stuff to pack. I couldn't have it. I didn't know I didn't know what the Navy entailed. I was just getting shipped off to boot camp, so it was just easier to give it all away. And then that was 2009, and so 2009 I just started fresh with Blu-rays, and then I got out of the Navy at like December 2014, and that was when I like ramped up my collecting. But if I was in if I was in a place where I could buy a movie, I would. And so I still collected all while I was in the Navy, but space was a huge thing, so it was really mainly the core favorites. And then the 2012 was like the hardest year for me because we were on deployment most of the year. And then right before that, we were on a joint warrior event. So I was gone like the entire year of 2012. So I missed things like License to Drive and like pretty much anything that got released that year. Because I know for a fact the only movie I bought in 2012 was Contraband with Mark Wahlberg.
hmm,
The only movie I
hmm.
bought. And then when I got out, it was just heavy collecting, going every Tuesday and just seeing what they got and just adding to the collection. And it just didn't stop until they stopped carrying stuff in stores.
Now, did was that a big thing for you? Even though you were gone, like
Mhm.
was going to the stores on Tuesday like a big thing for
Yeah,
you?
still,
Or did you? Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Because
man.
we would go underway, and so I was on a ship, and we would leave port, and we'd do exercise and training and things for like a couple days at a time, or even a week at a time sometimes, and then come back. But if we were in port, 100%. If it was a Tuesday, I was at Best Buy, 100%.
It was such a great time, and people that didn't live that have no idea. Like especially the way it was set up. At least where I was, it was like it was that main strip, and it was like Best Buy was here,
Yeah.
Circuit City was literally across the street. Like they were face to face, like where they were. So it
Mhm.
was easy. And then I had
Yeah.
a couple like places like Movie Stop, which more was I think was an East Coast thing,
Mhm.
and another place Newberry Comics was on the same street. So it would just be you'd hit, and the mall was all there too. So it
Mhm.
was like mall, Best Buy, Circuit City, and you'd hit
Oh
all
yeah,
those stores and every Tuesday I'd end up with a bunch of stuff every week. And me and my friend Keith
for
used to just make
sure.
a day of it, like after classes or whatever in college. We just head there and hit all those spots, and it was just perfect. And now it just sucks. There's like nothing. Like I never used to hit Walmart or Target
Mhm.
because I didn't need to because I had all those other big stores. But
Right.
now it's like Walmart's literally the only place around here that has any sign of physical media where I am.
Yeah, and it's usually not the greatest. Like, and depending on where you live, like before I moved, there was two Walmarts, and right basically where I lived, they were each the same distance, so it didn't matter which one I was going to. I was still driving the same amount. And one of them, they always had the latest and greatest and all the newest stuff, but they only had DVD. And I don't mind buying a DVD, but if the 4K is available, I want the 4K most of the time. And but then I would go to the other one, and then they wouldn't have any 4Ks unless it was a Disney title. And then it was just, a hit or miss on the Blu-ray. So it really also depends on what Walmart, where you are. And now that I've gone here, like it's kind of also been hit or miss too. Anytime we've gone to the Walmart, like nothing has been interesting, or it's just like a ton of TV shows. It's cool that they're there, but none of them appeal to me.
I know, and that's nothing like just going to the stores and getting something in person than just click of a button. It's just
No,
not the
no,
same,
it's it's so different too. Like, I end up buying a lot more that I buy stuff online because it's like the casino effect. You don't
Mhm.
technically, you're just you don't physically touch anything, and you don't have money in your brain. You don't have money leaving your pocket, and so it's just easy to load up the cart and put press enter, and all of a sudden it shows up, and then you're just like, wow, how did I get this many movies? And it really has that casino effect. But when I'm in the store, I could have like 10 or 15 titles in my hand, but I'm putting back like 12 of them. I'm
Mhm.
just like, so I hem and haw, and I like it's different. But then
And
also,
and the thing is, like you said before, like used was a big thing for you, and as it was for me, like
Mhm,
used is what built my DVD collection to what it is.
yeah,
Like over here on this wall, this is all just DVDs. It's all
mhm,
horror, and then this wall is all non-horror DVDs still.
yeah,
And like it's wild to think how much stuff I was buying at one point when I wasn't making as anywhere near the money that I'm making now. But you would go into these used stores and you'd be getting movies for like $3. And it was
yeah,
like I was
yeah,
just filling my carts with stuff and getting home with like 20 movies. Maybe one was a new release and the
mhm,
rest were just used, and it built the collection so quickly, and you found such gems that, were either out
Oh,
of print or whatever. But it was such a
yeah.
time that I miss completely. Like the thrift stores around me don't have much of anything. It's like a needle in a haystack to find something good nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I'm fresh to this area and it's difficult for me to get out because the wife she has an hour commute every single day. And so most days if she gets out late, she's coming home 6, 7 o'clock at night, then they go to bed, and then like there's almost no point in me going anywhere. And so it's weekends. And then it's not familiar with where places are and what places are good. And we've hit up a couple of thrift stores and ended up in bad neighborhoods and no DVDs, no movies. It's just like, oh, well, it's a waste of a day. And so I haven't ventured out too much, but the places I have been, I've been lucky that there's this old guy. He runs this store and it is ridiculously huge. And what he has done is he's gone throughout the country because he owned a video rental store like back in the 80s, and he's done it his entire life. But now he just sells stuff. But he would go around the country in any of the video stores that were going out of business, he would just buy them up. He would buy all their inventory and buy them up cash and liquidate them and then haul that stuff back. He has such a ridiculous store. I went there once and I like took pictures of it's so ridiculous. But the cheapest and like things he thinks are good are priced very similar or more than eBay prices. And so that's hit or miss. If you find like an amazing gem, he's asking too much for it. But then, the cheap things that should be $1 or $2, $6. That's the cheapest DVD price you're getting out of there with. And so I was getting things for $1 or $2, and now I'm not. But he does have VHS for 25 cents, so that's a good thing. But again, it's how many more like anything that's worth getting, he's already put a $300 price tag. He put a $300 price tag on a Betamax like tape that I've never even heard of before.
That's wild. See, like that's a lot
really
of these.
good,
I mean,
you're not
even
getting it.
thrift stores around me now are getting pricey because I think that sometimes they're looking on like eBay to kind of like price shit out sometimes. So it's not that same feeling as it was back in the day. I mean, but every now and then you'll find something. But I mean, I remember also building a VHS collection pretty hardcore around the time I was getting into DVDs. Like I didn't have a ton of them. My uncle gave me a bunch when I was in my teens, but as I was getting a little bit older and DVD was starting to really kind of hit, that's when all the video stores were just giving away the VHS because they started transferring everything to DVDs. So I remember going in and there's being walls and it was like 25 cents a piece. And I would just take so much stuff.
I wish, man, because I remember making fun of my dad because I was all in on DVD. I was like, DVD is so much better. And it's great, but VHS is great too. And so my dad was buying up the cheap VHS and I made fun of him. And I wish I did it.
For me was such a big thing that I was like, oh, I had this. Or again, a lot of stuff back then, horror stuff didn't make its way to DVD at the time. So I was just trying to grab horror stuff that didn't have a DVD yet. But I built a pretty good little VHS collection, but I ended up selling it in 2008 for like nothing. And it's like one of the biggest regrets ever because I just needed space at the time. I was still living at my parents'. I had a whole VHS wall, and then I had DVDs just piled on the floor. So I was like, I've got to switch these out. And I was like, I just got to get rid of everything that I already have on DVD at that point. And I remember just putting them in garbage bags, going like late at night to some parking lot. Some guy gave me $80 for about 200 VHS tapes. And
wow,
that was it, man. And now I've got some I've saved, but I'm almost like rebuying them again now. And it's
I just made a video the other day. I'm doing the same thing. I'm rebuying all the DVDs that I used to own that have never made a Blu-ray. So I'm not just buying things to have like multiple copies. Like I do still do that sometimes, but like all this pile here, like I just picked up this. I had it on VHS forever, and I still do, but I just picked up Suburban Commando because I know that I had this on DVD back in the day. It's never come to Blu-ray, and I was like, it's about time I bring this back to the collection. And so I've been really focused on that, is just getting, and the same thing, VHS things that I used to have that have never left the format. I'm just getting them now, and it's a focus. It's not even like a panic thing, but it's just like there's no point if they're not coming to Blu-ray or 4K anytime soon. I was like, I want to watch them.
It's tough now with like who owns what, and it's like you never know like when these things, if these things are ever going to come back again. Like you just don't.
Right.
Like it's a weird world with physical media now. It's like everything's being kind of held up so they can kind of hog it to their streaming service or whatever. But so it's definitely hard now. What I was talking about before, I really appreciate your content, is that you're number one, you're very honest. If there's shit you don't like, you're going to say you don't like it. If you like it, you're going to say you like it, and
Mhm.
also too, you're not specifically one format. Like there's videos on DVDs or VHS or Blu-rays or 4Ks, and you kind of talk about all the different formats. Now, are you, obviously you're not specific one format now, but how is your collecting now? Has it changed? Are you creating, more rules now because there's just so many companies putting stuff out? Like what is your style of collecting now? Because I sure as heck have created a lot of new rules for myself with my collection, just
Mhm.
mainly for space.
Well, I've changed, and so like I had a big regret before I moved. Like it was this panic mode of like we got to move. I was by myself. My wife was on deployment, and so like it was just me and a 7-year-old trying to move. And so I just started like I'm like, well, all these DVDs they have Blu-rays, and some of them are out of print. And I was like, I don't need to move them because I can just get the Blu-ray. And then I got rid of them, and then I didn't really get those Blu-rays, and so now I'm
Mm,
actively going back and trying to get those, and so that's been a kind of a focus, and so it has kind of changed off and on, but I try to stick with it. And so when it comes to like boutique labels and buying stuff, like no, there really isn't anything. If I don't have it in the collection and there's a 4K available, I try to opt for that because it's the biggest TV I have in the house. But I have a 36-inch CRT tube television right over here, and that is
mhm.
my all-time favorite TV to watch things on. And so, like, even though I opt for the 4K on some of the movies that I don't have, I'm fine pulling something like this that's stuck on VHS and watching this
Hell yeah, man.
before I
Oh,
even turn on the 4K
I
TV.
love that
And
movie.
so, it's one of those things that it's just almost like a feeling. So some days, like I'm like, oh man, I want to watch that downstairs in the big TV with the surround sound, or I want to share this movie with the rest of the family down there. Then I always opt for the 4K. But I don't really have too many rules when it comes to like double dipping and stuff. Like I
Mm,
have my favorite companies, and there's certain movies that I'll definitely like. I'm going to pick up the Kino Lorber, Harry and the Hendersons, and The Great
mhm.
Outdoors, two of my all-time favorite movies. And I just sent my Blu-rays to my friend in Australia, which is also weird because it went to Wyoming and then it's back at the post office that I sent it from. So it never even got to Australia yet, but I
Hmm.
sent them. And but like I'm gonna get those on Kino Lorber. But if like one of the other companies puts those out, they're my all-time favorites. I've been watching them since I was a kid. They're staples. We watch those more than any other movie in the house as a family. So realistically, like if any other company puts it out, I'll probably get a bigger chunky box if something ever comes out of those. But like not everything gets that double dip, not everything gets that level of love, I guess. And
So are
there's
you doing
movies
a
that
lot of
don't have to get
swapping out
upgraded.
still?
Huh?
Like I like everything that you upgrade, are you usually swapping out of the collection, or are you keeping
It
multiple?
depends. It all
Yeah.
depends. Like, the thing is I don't upgrade everything. I just upgraded, Suburban Commando, and because it's on VHS and we still watch it, we have what we call '80s movie day, and something I've been doing for probably the better part of a decade. And so we on the weekends, 1 day a week, we all just pick movies from the '80s, preferably on VHS, and then we watch it on a 27-inch CRT
Mm.
TV in the VCR, and we sit around, eat popcorn, do the whole thing, and we each pick our own movie and we just watch them as a family, almost like we were at the video rental store. And
That's
so
cool, man.
doing that, like I won't get rid of the VHS, but I have most of the time. If I get a 4K, like usually the Blu-ray's going, unless it falls under my core favorites. Like that's it.
Mhm. Now, you had mentioned the CRT. Now, it's wild though when you put a VHS and even a DVD in a CRT TV. Like, I feel like it looks fantastic.
It
Like,
does. It
it
does.
looks so good, and I'm
It
like,
does.
man, like
And trying
it's
to,
wild. And people always talk about, oh, DVDs look like shit, and this looks like shit. And it's like,
yeah,
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 well,
yeah,
they might
yeah.
look like shit on a 70-inch 4K TV, but like on that thing, these VHS tapes are like crystal clear.
They were
It's
so
wild.
good, and all those 4Ks that people are like, "These are the worst 4Ks ever," they look really good on VHS and DVD on a CRT, I'll tell you that. Yeah, I'm telling
Now,
you,
for someone who's still getting a lot of new stuff, for someone who's doing videos every day, what is your, mindset on a lot of what's coming out? Like, are you finding that you're not impressed with some of the 4Ks? Are you finding that, maybe the Blu-ray looks better, or what
Mm,
is your consensus on a lot of that stuff and the additions that we're getting? Because so I wanted Great Outdoors as well. It's like one of my favorite comedies of all time, and I was so excited for it. But then I heard like, oh, it looks like shit on 4K, and I'm like, what? But I mean, I only have a DVD, so it's gonna look hell of a lot better than what I already have
yeah.
it on. But
So
I
that's
just
the
didn't know
thing.
like if you're finding any of that or
I
if you
am.
feel
I
the same way.
definitely am. And like the thing is, like, you have to understand like what people think are shit. Like, so everybody's got a difference of opinion, and there are people that like film grain and people that don't like film grain. And then if somebody says the transfer shit, sometimes it is just because there's some film grain, and it really all depends for me. But with that, with Great Outdoors, I thought it was coming with the Blu-ray too, or is
Mhm.
it coming with Blu-ray separate?
I don't know.
I thought so.
I don't.
Maybe I got to double check now, because if it's not, I might have to just track down another Blu-ray because I gave mine to my friend. But
Mhm.
that's the thing where like certain movies, it just kind of it's important to me. But like the depends on the TV you have too, and like that's an actual thing. Your settings. I've definitely made a few videos on like changing your settings, and then people are like, "You're crazy." It's just like,
Now,
well,
do you change your settings once and call it a day, or are you changing your settings every time you throw something in there?
I change my settings once and call it a day, but because I make videos and we have, actual open commentary about these films, when people have difference of opinions, I do change things to see if maybe their settings is why they're seeing something worse. Cuz like, when people lost their minds over True Lies, and I have a 65-inch Sony OLED. I had it professionally calibrated. I was using the Panasonic UB9000. And we're talking like high-end gear. And I'm like, man, I watched it. I had a pretty good time, but I was also never that pixel peeper. I was never the guy that's pausing it and going, oh, look, see, there's some AI scrubbing here. I just watched it and had a good time. And then all these people were like freaking out over all these videos. And then I went to Reddit, and it was split. There was people that were like, this is great, and there were people that were crying about it. And so then when I turned on all of the settings that come out of the factory, out of the box, like all your DNR and all your stuff that's built into your TV, I could see what the people were complaining about. I could see the weird effects around the shapes of the people, and in the background I could see the AI digital nonsense. But when I had everything lower off, I had a decent time. Is it the best 4K ever? No. But like it's the same thing. People complained about the Jaws 3 4K. And I was like, that one I think is funny because it's notoriously bad with the special effects. And so then if the 4K has horrible AI scrubbing, I think that's ironic.
Now,
But other than
that's the
that,
thing.
no, I'm not switching constantly. But I do
Okay.
have my Vivid, my Dolby Vision Bright, Dolby Vision Dark. I have those, and I have them set so certain discs I know if they have kind of a either heavy hand or a different, maybe they're too dark or whatever, I can just switch and enjoy it in the moment. But it's not my standard. My standard setting, for which I have on cinema mode, I have that set and I never ever ever change it.
Because I found that there's sometimes, and it's not that I don't like it. My only gripe with some 4Ks is again I switched to OLED, and now all of a sudden I feel like a lot of stuff is dark, way
Yeah, yeah.
darker than I ever remembered. And people always say, "Oh, you got to fix your settings." I don't know how to fix those
No,
things. I mean,
no, you
I don't know
don't.
what
No,
to
you
do
don't. And I
anymore.
I just bought a budget 4K TV that is it's just a regular. It was literally $150, and so it's a Toshiba. It's got Dolby Vision. It's got all the bells and whistles for a budget TV, but it's like an LCD or a mini LED or something low. It does not an OLED. And when I watch Dolby Vision content on that, it I see it where I've said it for years, and people kept telling me I was wrong or I need to do my research, but I'm like, I researched the hell out of it. Dolby Vision, I had always felt, was just a gimmick. It was a way to combat the technology at the time. And so when they cranked out all these LCDs, even way back when HD was first introduced, all these LCD TVs could never produce the deep dark blacks. And so when they cranked out the 4K to create the deep dark blacks, that's what Dolby Vision and HDR were to do, and to give you a darker black and give you such a better experience. But once OLED came around, it's different, and they're coming out with Dolby 2.0 because of the OLED problem. And so they're just trying to combat this issue. But the thing is, I've always said, like, not every single Dolby Vision is the best. And when I was watching a lot of them on my Sony, then I turned Dolby Vision off. People kept telling me I was nuts. And I was like, well, and then they kept telling me I had a budget TV. I was like, no, I think the Dolby Vision was created for the budget TVs. And so if you have it on, you like it. But lately, I have noticed quite a few of discs that I've watched in Dolby Vision. Fantastic. I just watched the Halloween imprint 4Ks, and those discs look great in Dolby Vision. But what did I watch? Risky Business. Risky Business looks like absolute shit because there's scenes where it's like super bright and then it's super dark, and it's how it was filmed, but then the TV is just going too much and like from scene to scene. And when I put it in a different player or I turn the Dolby Vision off, beautiful picture.
It's so interesting though, like
Yeah.
that we're at that point now where before, like we wouldn't even have thought of all that stuff. It's just pop it in, watch it. It is what it is, you know. And
Mhm.
now it's like, then there's the color timing and color correction and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, this is how the director always wanted it. And watching some of my favorite movies, like I'll give you this Lost Boys on 4K. I thought it looked great, but the color is so much different than
Mhm.
it's ever been.
Yeah.
And people are like, I didn't see it. I'm like, dude, I've watched this movie about
Right.
800 times in my life. I
Right.
know every nook and cranny of this movie. So
Mhm.
I can tell you right now, this doesn't match what I've seen before. And
Right.
it's always a weird experience, but at the same time, I kind of like it because I can always watch it both ways now.
Mhm.
I can always go back and just watch the Blu-ray or whatever. But it is interesting when they do all that stuff.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you is, has that ever bothered you? So when we talk about older formats, like sometimes always the comments are, pan and scan was garbage. Well, you never had to turn pan and scan on. If you had a 4:3 television, you could just watch it with a widescreen. You didn't have to turn the pan and scan on. And then the same thing, like people like went nuts. And I remember even back when I first started collecting, people were going nuts over color timing and certain things. And I'm like, that never really bothered me until I started getting into 4K. And then I was like, okay. And then I certain things, like you said, like Lost Boys, one of my all-time favorite films. I think the 4K is fantastic, but I agree with you. The colors are better. And I think it is the HDR and the Dolby Vision, which people, if you say anything against it, people are like, oh my God, you're wrong. Do your research. But I'm like, I see what I see. Like it doesn't look the same. And it is the change in the Dolby. And then if you have a 4K player that has Dolby Vision or HDR and you put in a lesser format, a Blu-ray, a DVD, it still tries to push the Dolby Vision and the colors will be off. And most people don't even know that. And especially a lot of people don't have multiple pieces of equipment. They just have the one 4K player
Right.
and it's
That's
trying
me.
to
Like I'm
push
not,
that.
and that's why I never talk about stuff like that on my channel, only because I'm not proficient in that stuff. Like that's not me. Like I don't know a lot about that stuff. I just put it on. I say it looks good. It sounds good. Great. Like I don't go in and I don't have enough knowledge on that stuff. So, talking to somebody who does, it's interesting because I don't talk about those things, frame
Mhm.
rates and color timing and all that. Like I don't
Yeah.
ever mention that stuff. I just say, hey, it looks good. It sounds good. Or
Well,
I didn't like how it looked.
I don't get crazy technical because that's like a barrier. So if I start going
Sure.
into frame rates and explaining like in a super crazy detail, you're gonna start tuning me out. So I used to work at Circuit City when I was a kid, and I sold big screen televisions and when high definition was coming out, I really understand this stuff, and I also understand different TVs and the settings and all that stuff. And then people are, and so I always laugh when people tell me to do my research, but I come from this background, and to be able to sell it, you had to understand it. And so then, it's just a newer technology, but it's the same basics. And so I just know that if I go into crazy technical jargon, nobody cares about it or nobody listens or they feel afraid of it. But then you get the people in the comments that are like, how come you don't say resolution or how come you don't,
Mhm.
talk about this? But because nobody cares. Nobody cares. Does it
Or
look good?
they'll try to
Does it
debate
sound
you
good?
on it. It's another debating.
Huh?
Uh, it's I said it's another avenue for debates. I think is when you really get into the
Yeah.
technical aspect of it. And I'm
Does it
just
look
so
good?
are you saying that a lot of people like, oh, Lost Boys look better. I said, and I would say I don't know if I wouldn't say it doesn't look better, but when it looks so different than what I've been used to, it's weird to me. Like it's like I wasn't sure if I enjoyed it as much because I was like it just felt off. But
Mhm.
are you saying if I turned off Dolby Vision, it probably would look more what I'm used to? Do you think?
Probably, yeah, yeah. I don't know what
Yeah,
kind of
like I
setup
never
you
try
have,
that.
but I would try it. I would definitely
Hmm.
try it. Yeah, for me, a lot of those movies, once I turned Dolby Vision off, like it just felt so much better
Hmm.
and more realistic. And even when HDR is on, because some players don't let you turn any of that off. You can just switch between Dolby Vision and HDR. And so when you can turn one of them off, HDR seems to be the better experience on a lot of movies. Not every movie. There are some good Dolby Vision movies out there, but like Lost Boys, like we watched it all the time and we watched a lot. My daughter loves it. I had to get her own VHS tape. And so
I
now
love
because like I got one for myself finally after all these years, finally replenishing it from my collection. And she was like, she opened it up and she goes, "Oh, you got this for me." And so then I went right to eBay and had to buy another one
that's
because
awesome.
we love that movie. We watched it a ton, but when you watch it, I don't know when last time you watched it on a CRT was, but watching it on the 36-inch, it brings me back. And it like the
Mhm.
colors are great and everything, but I still enjoy the Dolby Vision version of it. I just know that it's different.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is I don't mind when they look different. It's weird at first, but then
Mhm,
I can always say, listen, I can watch it on this format or that format
mhm.
and get a little bit of a different experience. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But Andy said that Kino does have both Blu-ray and 4K
Nice, nice.
for
Well,
the
good to
great
see you here,
outdoors.
Andy.
And I got a super chat. Is this
Nice.
Lewis? Where is he? Thank you so much for that. Let me see if I have something. I know what I can do. I know what I can do for that. Thank you for that. Now, let's do this.
Well, Corey Haim, can't go wrong there.
In there. And that's another one. Corey Haim. I know you said you're a big fan. I'm a big fan. I
Mhm.
feel like it's a tragedy, kind of his career, and it's
Yeah,
unfortunate because I feel like he had the chops to be a real good lead. Like when you see some of those like License to Drive and the Lost Boys, and you kind of see like what he was capable of, you're like, man,
yeah,
it's just unfortunate that we didn't get more of that, even with like things like Lucas and what a library of stuff that's just unavailable, man. Like it's
right.
wild to me that all of those movies is basically like besides Lost Boys, Silver Bullet, like what else is readily available on an upgrade that he's done?
Nothing that I can think of. I just picked up Dream Machine on VHS, and I think that's where it's stuck.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's stuck. So
Yeah.
isn't Fast Getaway 1 and 2 stuck? I
Yeah.
have all my
Oh
games
my
from yeah.
god, that's I don't have those. I've been looking for those for a long time, but Fast
Great.
Getaway is great.
I don't know why Vinegar Syndrome doesn't do a box set because they've done so much Cynthia Rothrock stuff that it would
Mhm.
only make sense for them to do these because it's her and Haim, and I would love to see a
Is there an
double like a
issue
box
with,
set.
like, his estate or, like, his mom in charge of that stuff?
That's what I've always wondered. I'm not sure, but I did talk to Cynthia Rothrock. I actually had her sign a Fast Getaway 2 laser disc with her and
Mm,
Haim on the front with like guns at a convention 2 years ago.
yeah.
And she said she just did a commentary for a new Fast Getaway edition, but that was 2 years ago, and she didn't even know which company it was for. So I don't know why there's issues with his stuff. But I mean, I'm looking right now. You've got like Blown Away, Fast Getaway, Dream Machine, Prayer of the Roller Boys, Double O Kid, License to Drive, Just One of the
Yeah.
Girls, Dream a Little Dream 2, Demolition University, Demolition High. It's like there's so many
I
still
never
that it
got
just
into the Demolition movies, but, those ones like, Demolition High and Demolition University, I don't recall, like, watching them ever, but it's just like I knew they existed, but I, like, never jumped on those. But Prayer of the Roller Boys, I have not seen that in so long, and it's because it's probably stuck on DVD, and I just have never come across it out in the wild ever, ever. That's a
yeah,
movie I
it's
need in
stuck
my
on
collection.
DVD and it's definitely worth a get. It's awesome. I think that's
Yeah.
probably if I had to pick one movie of his that I think needs a new edition, I would say it's probably that.
Yeah, it's a
That or Watchers,
fantastic film.
maybe.
Like when there was like I don't remember what they announced, but Vinegar Syndrome announced like something, but the way they teased it, I really thought we were getting Prayer of the Roller Boys, and I was like, oh man, because it's something that it's always been like a want. I've seen it before. It's just I've never had it in the collection, and it's always been a want. And like I'll track it down. I definitely track it down. But like it's one of those things. Like it would be cooler to find it in the wild. Like go to a thrift store and find it. Like that would just be a huge win.
100%.
Yeah.
And Zach is right. The thing with Haim is he was on so much stuff in the 90s that
Mhm.
like they tried to make him like he was getting older. So they're like, oh, we're going to make you like an action star. Like that's where
Yeah.
Fast Getaway came in. He was doing these stunts. And then that's with Demolition University and then Demolition High. And you could tell like in some of those Double O Kid, like
Mhm.
he wasn't all there. Like
No.
he was looking a little rough in some of those movies, but they were
Yeah.
trying to push him as like, more of that like he's getting more of an adult, roles and stuff
Well,
like that at the time.
speaking of that, what's that one? It's horrible. I think it's horrible. I don't know. I'm sorry if you love it, but the one where
Well,
him and Corey Feldman, they were cops.
Oh, that sucks. That's busted.
Yeah,
That's
that's
terrible.
horrible. And like that's the like because when you're saying that, like they were trying to push him into these adult or
Yeah.
older roles, and that's what comes to mind. I'm like, that movie was
Yeah,
garbage.
that was when it got really bad. Like
Yeah,
that and yeah, there was a lot around that time that got really bad. But if you haven't, and I've talked about this a lot on my channel, you've probably heard me talk about it, but a movie that is maybe out of print now, but maybe you can still get it. I don't know if we ever see it again. But the movie, his first movie, Firstborn, is one
yeah.
that,
I
oh
have
my
Firstborn.
god,
Firstborn is such an underrated gem. Now, I didn't grow up watching that one, so that one had gotten recommended because I was trying to collect. And I'm not going to do it anymore because there's so many movies that I don't like in the collection. But I was trying to collect all of the Olive Films
mhm.
titles because there's only like 600 and something ever, period. And so it's an attainable goal. But then I started like looking into it, and there's some gems. There's some solid gems, but a lot of those gems are being put out by Sandpiper Pictures, and other places are picking some of those other ones up. But there's a lot of like movies I'll never watch again or won't want to watch in the first place. And so I stopped doing that. But every time I would talk about it, there was this one guy in the comments, and he's great with like, you should check out this movie, you should check out that movie. And he mentions Firstborn probably a dozen times a year. And then
I
you
need to meet
mentioned
this
it, and I was like,
guy.
oh, gotta get it. Gotta get it. And so like the guy's great. I pick up a lot of the movies that he recommends, but I just hadn't picked that one up. And then you mentioned it, and I was like, oh, gotta get it. And it's fantastic. It really is such an underrated gem. And the thing about it is like it has a vibe. Like, so it has like this TV movie vibe,
I was just gonna say it feels like a made-for-TV movie. Like it
but
really
not
does.
quite. Like, right. So it's almost like an HBO movie, kind
Mhm.
of. Like, but yeah, it's got a vibe. It's got a vibe to it for sure. Yeah.
And I think it's probably one of Peter Weller's best performances ever. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I met him and I was like, oh man, I just want to say, man, I love Firstborn. He like lit up and Weller's interesting too,
Mhm.
because like he can come off kind of a dick. And I mentioned Firstborn, he lit up. He probably was just so sick of talking about fucking RoboCop
Yeah.
that as soon as somebody else talked to him about something different, he was like, "Ooh,"
Well, and like
he's like,
that, so that's something. Okay, that's something I've wanted to ask you. So you're in a position where you've met a lot of celebrities, or you make it a point to meet a lot of celebrities and do the
yeah.
autograph thing. So are you a big autograph collector?
I'm not gonna say a big auto. I used to be.
Hmm.
Now not so much. Like I'll pick and choose. Um, but I was lucky enough to meet Haim twice.
Hmm.
So I've been going to these conventions probably since like '07, maybe,
Yeah.
'08. But I go every year to the conventions. Now, do I meet people every time I go? No. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't, but I like it. Nowadays it's just too expensive. And I'm lucky
Yeah.
that I've been going for all those years because I had met all these people way back when they weren't expensive. But now it's
Mhm.
like you try to meet Robert England. I met Robert England 3 times, and I think the most I ever paid for an autograph for him was $50. One
Right.
time 25, like one time 30.
Mhm.
And then now he's like, I don't know, 150 to
Yeah.
get
I
his
got
autograph now.
I got into this subscription box where I was getting autographs from there, and I have the Robert Englund one somewhere, but there's that. But I have this one. This one's my favorite. But the thing is, I wish that I was going to conventions. But the thing is, like the only time I lived in a place where I was close to be able to go to a convention is when I lived in Rhode Island, and I just
What?
remember there was a time like, and I
Wait,
blame my
why? That's where I live. Where did you live?
I lived in Middletown, which is in Newport, the Newport Island
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Rhode
yeah.
Island, where all the big mansions are.
Yeah.
Middletown is where they have the military base, and
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah, I
there's
know that. Oh,
military
yeah,
housing
yeah.
there. So I lived in Middletown. Yeah, yeah, I
That is
lived there
funny.
like 2016. Well, my daughter was born 2016, so probably 2015 to 2018, and then I moved back to Virginia. Yeah,
You don't know a guy by the name of Terry Cross, do you?
no, no.
My uncle, he's an admiral, so I don't know. Maybe you know.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, no.
But
No,
he's
I
he
don't think
he
I can. Like, I think I met an admiral once.
okay.
Yeah, no, but I got this one, and this is the one. This is the only one where I was just like, man, because I've got Lee Waddell. I got a bunch of cool autographs that I like, and I've always collected them, but I've never actually met celebrities. But this is the one where I was just like, man. And then with Fright Night coming out and all that stuff, so I got this one, and so it's Amy Beers from Fright
Oh,
Night.
so good. Hell yeah.
And but the
Was
thing
that in
is,
the
like,
subscription box?
Yeah, this was in a subscription box,
That's a great
$50 a
that's
month,
great.
and this showed up. I got this one too in the same subscription box.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
Yeah, but it's like 2 years of a $50 a month subscription box
to
and
get to get
a
the
whole
gems.
bunch of trash.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I got some cool ones, but then like but this is the one that got me into the like I wanted to go to conventions. Like I
Mhm.
would like to, you know, and then be able to get other people from the cast to autograph that and stuff. And I kind of felt like I was missing out, but I've just like I don't really feel like I'm missing out because I still enjoy the movies and I have the autographs and it's cool and they're
It's
legit. It's not stuff off eBay. It's you know, it's so there's something about it, but I don't know. Like, is it like, is it cool meeting those people or not
I
really?
think for your first time it's gonna feel cool, but like I think now what it is like when I go, it's mostly just to meet up with other people that have similar interests. Like
Hmm.
I'll usually use it as a destination. So like for instance, in 2 weeks I'm going down to Pittsburgh for Living Dead weekend. Now I've never been to that convention, but
Hmm.
I'm going because it's the last year before they knock down. It's going to take place at the Dawn of the Dead Mall. And
Hmm.
then after this year, they're knocking that mall down. So it's like if I've ever want to see that mall, I have to go now. Like,
Right.
and I've never seen it. And guys from Dead Pit are going to be there, and we're going to just all finally get to meet up at this destination. So I'm excited, but at the convention itself, like we'll probably have more fun taking pictures around the Dawn of the Dead Mall and then going to dinner in the Vinegar
Yeah.
Syndrome stores in Pittsburgh. So we're going to do that. So I mean,
Yeah.
like that's going to be more or less what I'm doing there.
Mhm.
And we use kind of conventions as destination points. They're still fun, but I think now for me, I just couldn't do the I'm going to go to the convention and get all these autographs and stuff because once you go down that road, especially now, it's your whole day. It's hard to even have fun. You're in a
Mhm.
line, then you're waiting for 3 hours, then you go in the next line, you're waiting, then all of a sudden the day's over. You've got three autographs, you've spent $500 and you haven't even looked at any
Yeah.
of the vendors yet. So when you go into it as a business, it's hard. When you go into
Mhm.
it and not have all these things you got to get done,
Mhm.
because when I first started going, I would look at my paper, everybody would be $25. I'd have 10 people to get. I was running around there like it was like a job. Like I was like, okay,
Mhm.
I'm now here, now here. And then by the end, I'm exhausted because I'm like, I didn't even get to enjoy it because I was so focused on getting these autographs and meeting these people. So I think it's just, what you're going there for, how much
Mhm.
time you have, and how much money uh you're gonna spend. And if you don't mind that, then I think you're gonna have fun, meeting people for the first time. But
Yeah.
I would definitely hit one up, no question. I mean,
Mhm.
I think it's an experience that any movie fan should have, but
Mhm.
just be mindful that it's changed a lot through the years.
Oh yeah. Well, and then like the one thing I notice when I see any of that stuff, especially with social media being so big now, it just seems like greedy people going to then put the stuff on eBay. Like it's what it seems like. It doesn't seem like super fan. Now I'm sure there still are super fans, and so I'm not saying that it's not,
Mhm.
but I just because like what you end up seeing is you see the posts of like people doing that and then putting it online and then flipping the autographs and like that to me is what kind of has put it off. Where I was like all gung ho to go when I lived in Rhode Island, and then my daughter was born the weekend I was going to go because I think Stan Lee was coming to town, and then he ended up canceling anyway. And that was like the only one time where I was like ready to go. And then since then, like anytime I've heard people talk about it, it's almost always in that like flipping the autographs. And I just kind of hate that
I
mentality
mean, there's
anyway.
people that are probably that's probably their job, right? Like their
Yeah.
job is like it's going to these conventions, getting them to sign. Because sometimes you'll be behind with someone and they're like having the guy sign like 12 items. You're like, come on, I know that's not all for you.
Yeah.
Then you're
Yeah.
sitting
And
there waiting
I
behind
think
them.
that's what's put me off of it. And so like I've just been happy to because like there's one of the convention sites, and I forget the name of it off the top of my head, GalaxyCon. So I don't know if they do it anymore, but through COVID and all that, GalaxyCon was allowing you to send stuff in and then buy prints and stuff.
Mhm.
And so then you didn't have to go. It was the virtual convention. I was like, so I did a lot of that too, but like just that idea of going for that the whole like scalper mentality, I'm just like, it kind of puts me off of going.
Now, is there you said you're in Colorado. If anybody's around, is that what you said now? That's where you are?
Yeah, yeah, Colorado, yeah.
So if anybody around there like in the chat knows if there's conventions around that area, let us know. But yeah, for a while I took a couple flights to go to some
Mhm.
big events to meet people for the first time. Like one of my goals was to get my
Mhm.
Lost Boys poster done. So I basically have everybody on it except Diane Weist and Jamie Gertz, which I know is probably never going to happen.
Yeah.
But I had to travel originally to meet some of those guys, and
Mhm.
I was lucky to get all them on there. And then I went to maybe South Carolina and met the whole cast from the original Fright Night to sign a
Mhm.
poster because I saw they were doing a reunion there. So I mean, like back in the day, I was doing that quite a bit. Now, not so much.
Mhm.
But I would have to say this really quick because I don't know if you've seen this movie, but Lewis says Peter Well's best performance is, and you know what? It's that I agree. It's right there. Like
Mhm.
if you haven't seen this movie, it's so
No.
freaking good.
I'll check it out.
Me and my friend always joke that it almost feels like a sequel to Firstborn because now Peter Weller's living in the city. And it's almost like maybe that's where he went after all this happened. And now he's getting tormented by a giant rat in his apartment. And he's like flipping out on this rat. And he's like, and he has the same demeanor like he did in Firstborn, where he's getting real pissed off and he's screaming and
Mhm.
yelling. It's like almost exactly the same. So we always kind of joke that it's some kind of like fake spin-off of Firstborn. So it's definitely one that you want to check out. And I know people are asking me, no, my Uncle Terry is not the horror uncle. That's my Uncle Mark. So yeah,
Mm.
different. That's not the Admiral. But yeah, anyway, let me see what these people are saying in here.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking Firstborn. No, we talked about Firstborn is my favorite, but I think Unknown Origins is right up there for sure.
Yeah.
So hold on a second. Yeah, I'm happy I'm gonna be able to check out that mall before they tear that damn thing down. But all right, so your channel, man, like what's next for you? Because you said you're doing a video a week, and it's obviously it's getting traction. I can see it.
Mhm.
That's helped a lot. Is that video a day? Sorry, video a day, not a week. Have
Yeah.
you noticed that since you've been doing it more frequent, that the uptick has been there as far as more people checking it out?
Yeah, it was, but then like out of nowhere, like it seemed like YouTube changed the algorithm, and then like
Mm.
it was just weird. It was weird for a moment, but not that I figured it out, but like it seems like I got back on track. But yeah, it's been initially just more videos meant more eyes, more and so then more, and that was that. But then with more comes trolls and comes haters and
I
weirdness, and
can't believe this, dude.
it's
This is
weird,
wild to
man.
me
It's
because
so
like
weird. I could show
people
you
say
some
it,
of the
like
comments.
Dinosaur Dracula said it, Ken says it. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this right now, and don't start trolling me because I'm saying this, everybody in the chat. But I want to thank the chat because I was saying to you, like, I don't really get like I get a couple here and there, and I just kind of like bicker back or whatever. But like
Mhm.
ultimately, I don't really get much shit from anybody, which is
Yeah.
wild. And I
'Cause
know
it
other people seem to, and it's interesting to me
Yeah,
on
well,
why.
it's, like I said, I think it's because, like, you do focus a lot more on, like, those obscure titles, the horror stuff, and it has its, like, own built-in audience, which then also protects the whole genre. So I think, like, the audience, like, your
I get
fans,
you.
like, everybody, like, put those people in their place to begin with. Like, it's like a thing where it's just like it almost feels like you gotta be part of the club to joke
See, this
around.
is what I had. This is what I would expect, to be quite honest with you. Like that's what I expect, basically.
Oh
But
yeah,
people
man.
don't really
The
give me.
amount of people that tell me to shave my beard, call me a dirty hippie, or like they'll take what I say and then they'll say it in the comment like exactly what I say, but then tell me I'm wrong and then act like I never said what I said. Like that happens a lot. But the beard thing, like the amount of people that talk about my beard is ludicrous, and it's like 90% negative. Yeah.
It's the dirty hippies.
Yeah, dirty hippie is the biggest one. I get called a dirty hippie. It's 2026, shave. It's not Woodstock anymore. Go take a shower, you dirty hippie, like constantly. And then it has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Like, and I'm not
That is
controversial.
wild.
Like, if I don't like something, I don't like something. I say it, but like, I don't do the like the rant videos. I don't do the giant like I don't know. I'm pretty neutral. Pretty neutral.
Like you
Even
don't
when
do
I'm
you're not
mad,
too
like about stuff,
clickbaity or
like
anything
I'm
like
pretty
that. I mean,
neutral.
that's the big thing is sometimes when people come in and they feel like it was a clickbait thumb, they might give you shit or whatever. I mean, but also too, if I make a video tomorrow that says Marvel sucks, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of shit for it, right? But I'm
Yeah.
not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But so maybe that's why. But it's funny because I thought for sure the headband thing was going to be a problem. Not a problem, but I felt like it was going to be a target for a lot of people. And it really hasn't been. It's almost to a point where when I went to an event this weekend, I went to go see Fright Night 2, the new 4K
Yeah.
premiere. And
I'm
when I
so
was
excited for
there,
that.
I didn't have the headband on. I just had like my regular clothes. And people came up and they're like, "Oh, you got the headband? Where's the head?" Like they wanted
Yeah.
it. And I said, well, I said, listen, it's in my pocket if you wanted me to put it on.
Yeah,
But like,
well, it's because, like, it becomes part of you, and that's the thing is, so, like, I've worn a hat since I was a kid in school, and so, like, I've always had
Mhm.
hoodies, hats, like, that's been the thing, but with the beard, so I used to tell because, like, they ask, and so, like, I used to because, like, the mustache is ridiculous, and so it can get in your mouth and stuff, so that's why you see old pictures with old people, with like, the big giant curls and all this stuff, and so when I first got out of the Navy and I stopped shaving, I put wax in it when I had a regular job, I put wax in it and curl it up. But
You
then,
curled
like,
it?
it gives you that vibe where yeah, and it's like
Sick.
it does it looks sharp, but then, like, it gives you a vibe like the, Tie the Woman to the Railroad Tracks villain kinda thing from a silent film, like, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Go get her," and, like, so it would be fine, but if I did it one time on video, then everybody'd be like, "Where's your mustache?" So I don't,
You
because then no matter what, I have to do it because then it becomes part of the thing.
if people are saying, "When am I gonna grow a beard?" Listen, I can grow a beard, but, like, it's funny because everybody always tells me I look way younger than I am, but I
Mhm.
can tell when I'm starting to grow my beard, all right here is white, and it's
Well, even
wild because I don't have, like,
I got
anything
white coming in,
in
but
my
people
hair
tell me
though,
I
it
don't look
doesn't I
as
don't
old as
have
I am.
anything, but all of a sudden I can see it when it starts to come in. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Shit," like, it's like my only I have, like, the gray patches right here, so
Mhm.
I'm like, it would definitely make me look, a little bit older if I let that thing grow out for sure,
Yeah.
but it's
Well,
just wild
I'm not
because I'm
I
like, I don't
mean,
really have grays anywhere else.
yeah. Well, it's like I don't even think it bothers me. Like, it's never bothered me, but then, like, few people tell me, like, when I mention, like, I was born in the '80s, like, I'm 44, and they're like, You're not that old. You're not you're way younger. You look way younger." And I was like, "I don't think I do, but I don't feel younger." That's the thing is, I
I was
know I'm
gonna ask you that.
44.
Wait a minute. So you're saying you don't feel younger?
No, I mean, I do.
Oh, oh,
No, I mean, I
oh,
don't feel old. I don't
oh,
feel
okay,
old.
yeah,
I don't feel old, but I look in the mirror and I'm like, "Well, I got a little gray." I feel like I'm
yeah,
44.
yeah.
I feel like I'm 40, but
Right.
I don't like I mean, I feel like I look like I'm 44, but I don't, like, feel like it. Like, I don't feel like my parents did when they were 44. Like, my
No,
parents didn't wanna do anything. They just kinda wanted to get towards retirement, and I'm like, "I'm still a kid buying toys and, watching, stupid
dude,
movies."
I honestly like, and I'm sure people in the chat probably feel the same way. I'm curious, like, like sometimes I'm like, is it just me? Like, I really do feel like the same I felt like even in my 20s. Like, I don't
Yeah.
really feel much different,
No,
like at
I
all.
really don't. Like you said, the gray in the beard is the only reason I go, I'm old. But I feel like I did when I like you said, mid-20s. I feel the same. I don't
Now,
really have the aches and pains.
well, that's what I was
I don't
gonna say. Like a lot of people say I feel old because my back hurts or this, that, and I don't
Mhm.
have any of that either.
Yeah.
So, that is another thing too, that I'm not walking around in pain all day, which I think a lot of people
Mhm.
do, which makes them feel their age. Where I don't know. I sit there, I wake up, and I think about the same stuff I thought about when I was in my 20s. So I guess nothing's
Yeah.
really changed.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so you were talking about you felt that the algorithm kind of made a little change. And again, you see that shift all the time. Sometimes things will be on a hot streak, sometimes
Mhm.
things will get taken down and back to a certain amount of hours. YouTube's tricky. Any social media is definitely
Yeah.
tricky for
Yeah, for
sure.
sure.
And I think it's one of those things too, where sometimes when a video doesn't perform as well as you thought, you're like, kind of like, what did I do wrong here?
Mhm.
Like what was about this one that people didn't like? So it's tough for sure. It's
It
almost
is,
like
but
every video is a gamble. Like you might have
oh, for
one where all of a sudden
sure.
you're like, well, why did that one? Like I did one a couple weeks ago that was literally like an 8-minute video. I didn't really want to do it. I had something laying on my
Yep.
table and I was like, oh, let me tell a story.
I've
And I
done
just
that.
did it. And all of a sudden I was like, I guess I'll put it out today. And it was
Yeah.
like
And it's the best video of the week.
25,000 views. And I'm like, wait, what did I put
Yeah.
zero effort into this video
Yep, it
at
happens
all.
all the time. There's times where I put a lot of effort into it. I research a video, I edit it, I add a whole bunch of clips, do that, and that video tanks. And then, like you said, like you just turn on the camera. I don't even care what the heck's going on. I grab the thing, I start talking, and it's a super short video. It's like 6 minutes, and like that video pops off, and you're just like, "What'd you do?" And I'm like, I don't know what I did. It's the same thing. But like, I
Yeah.
don't know if you're in the boat. Like, I'm here, but I don't have I get that growing is the whole point of YouTube, but like I like the whole community aspect of it. And so like I never had that real goal of like having so many subscribers or getting a paycheck or doing all that stuff. And so like it all comes eventually, but like it was something it wasn't ever my goal. Like my literally why I turned the camera on in the first place is because I've loved movies my entire life. And my wife does not love movies. We have almost 4,000 movies in the house. And I only know because I use the CLZ app, and that's the only reason I know is it tells me. And out of that, she might have 100 movies that she tolerates and maybe five of her own that she enjoys. And that's it. And so she got tired of listening to me talk about movies. And I was like, you know what? People on the internet want to listen about movies. They want to talk about movies. Somebody's got to have the same mindset I do. And so I just turned on the camera one day. That is my journey. That's how I got here. And so I've never had that, like, I want to be a YouTuber dream. And I just kind of, this is what I do now. And so I like when I make a video, like I don't think of it in a way of like, is this video going to do good or bad? But then I also know if I don't chase, like, and I'm not chasing views. I'm not chasing views. But if I make a video where it's more like my journey, like I want to talk about VHS for a day, I want to talk about that. Like if I don't do it a certain way, then everyone's like, nobody cares about VHS. It's all about 4K or bust. And so you see the 4K videos doing better than any of the old retro video formats. And so like maybe you make a few more of those a week just so somebody can eventually see your VHS video. Like I've done that a couple times because it's like, it's changed. So it is trying to navigate it, but I just want to talk about movies, and I don't care what the format is. Like Laserdisc,
Yeah.
DVD, it's to me, it's still a movie. And to some people, it's not. If you're not talking about Blu-ray or 4K, then you might as well be talking to a wall. And so that was always weird to me too. Like, so trying to navigate all of that stuff and just be here has been a thing, but like, it was never a goal to like have 1 million subscribers. Like it would blow my mind. Like it blows my
Mhm.
mind that I'm like at almost 10,000 subscribers
Right.
and that people show up on Saturday to hang out and talk. And like, I'm at where I'm at. And I also feel blessed at the same time. Like it's crazy.
100%. I think as well, like, I run like a fitness business
Mhm.
that I've been doing forever, working in that industry and stuff. And, during COVID, um, I had to buy equipment, video equipment, because I had to train people here. Like
Mhm.
I was stuck in the house. I had to have all this video stuff. I had lighting. I was doing workouts here with people on virtual, and then I've had this collection forever, and it was like, I'm getting older. All my friends were having kids, and then it was like, they weren't into this stuff anymore. I was like the only one that was still
Mhm.
like into this. So I was watching a lot of YouTube, getting, ideas on like what to buy next or commenting in. And, then all of a sudden I had known and talked to a bunch of YouTubers that I watched, people like Dead Pit, Pizowl, and they knew I had the all the stuff. And they were like, why don't you just start a channel and find
Mhm.
people to talk to this stuff about? Because I don't have anybody to talk about it anymore either.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I did. Was I just took the equipment that I had for work, set it up, and I just said, okay, I'm going to talk about physical media. I'm going to talk about horror movies. I'm going to talk about movies that I like and
Mhm.
collectibles and all this stuff. And that's kind of how it started. I mean, luckily I knew a couple people who were already doing YouTube. So,
Mhm.
I got into the collabing with them, which kind of helped at the beginning. And, I kind of felt like I found like a cool name and brand or whatever. And it was just to kind of find other people to talk to about the same stuff and show people like, hey, I picked this up, or I have this old collectible, and have somebody to talk to, because like I said, nobody cares where I am.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to know about that stuff.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's wild to see how many like-minded people are out there
Mhm.
that you're like, where the hell are these people here? Like I don't have friends like this in my
Yeah, and
circle.
like not that I don't hate where I'm at, but I'm like, why don't I have like this? Why didn't I have this real life connection my whole life? Because like I
Mhm.
talk about movies that I've loved for years, and then on the internet, like you hear like people come like, oh my god, I love that movie. I've never met anybody in my real life that likes Miller's Crossing. I think it's a fantastic film, and yeah, I know that it's not for everybody. But when I say that, people are like, "I love Miller's Crossing," and I get it. I get it. Like some people, but I've never met anybody in my real life that does. And so like, there's
Yeah.
tons of movies like that, and it's just wild. Like, if I don't know, like I guess for me, it's also about discovery. So the
Right.
discovery has changed over the years. When we were kids and you go to the video rental store, and like this is the common thing. It happened when I was a kid, and then it also happened when I worked there. I noticed it a lot, where no matter what, new release day would come out, people would get super excited for the latest and greatest film, and people would rush in to grab that film. It comes out on Tuesday, so by Friday, anybody that wanted to rent it, like it was always rented out. People would leave on their lunch break to then go to the video store to make sure that they got the movie for the weekend. And then so Friday night at like almost close, people were like, "Hey, do you got the latest whatever just came out?" And we're like, "No." They'd get mad. But instead of going home, they have a whole bunch of movies to find, and they always left with something. And like seeing the covers, like that's what got you. Like you would see
Mhm.
this cover, and this is why I pick it up. You're like, Anthony Michael Hall holding a gun. What
Yep.
is this film? And
On
then
the
you like
Mounds,
read the
man.
back of it,
Jenny
and you're like,
Wright. Hell
man,
yeah.
it's totally for me. Let me take that home. Or the Willies, or any of these other great films that we found. So many of the hidden gems were found because I was looking for something that they didn't have. And like, or I was going for the latest and greatest. And like, I'm not the only one in that situation. So discovery has changed. But then, like, here's a weird thing is like, I know we're all on a different journey. Like we have different thoughts, we have different opinions, we saw different movies at certain times, and there's a ton of movies that you've seen that I haven't, and vice versa. But for
Mhm.
some crazy reason, I think we're all on the same journey. And so if I have it on my shelf, you do too. And I know that's wrong, but like sometimes I don't think to talk about a movie because I'm like, why am I going to talk about this? But then I like find like movies that you think everybody has seen, like RoboCop or Cliffhanger or something like that, where people are like, I've never seen that. Just the other day, like I love Howard the Duck. I don't know if you know this, but I love Howard the Duck. One of my all-time favorites. I talk about it all the time. And then like I posted about it the other day, and I thought it was a dumb post. I was like, because I have two 4Ks, I got the Steelbook and the DVD, and I want to get the VHS, and I want to get the Laserdisc, and I want to get because it's one of my favorites, childhood
Wait,
favorite.
I
I
just
want.
saw that picture. Where was that?
I posted it
Where?
on my YouTube channel. I posted the
So
three.
you're not on Instagram.
No, I'm not. So there's a story behind Instagram. We'll get to the Instagram story in a second.
Okay,
That's a
because
good
I
one.
swear maybe I was scoping your page and saw it in your post or something. But I
Yeah,
was
I
like, I
posted
just
it
saw a
on
picture with
YouTube. Yeah.
somebody that posted all the Howard the Duck stuff.
Yeah, it was me. And so
Okay, okay.
some like two people in the comments are like, I've never seen that. And I was like, what? Like, and because like so you think, and
Okay.
like I can't tell how many times people say the same thing for like certain movies like Cliffhanger, and they're like, I've never
Listen,
seen that.
here's one too, and here's where I'm gonna get the trolls. Here's the troll stuff.
Where?
Okay. I love the 80s. I grew up in
Yeah.
the 80s. My life was renting movies and going to the movies in
Yeah.
the 80s. My brother and I watched movies all day, all night. Dude, I have never seen any Indiana Jones movies ever.
Wow. I grew
Never.
up on Indiana Jones. Like that
Dude,
was
I don't know why it just passed us by. Like I knew who he was, I knew of
yeah.
it, but it just never came across our plate. It was never anything my parents rented for us. And then it got to a point where it just became such a weird joke that my brother and I like, let's see if we can how long we can go without watching it.
Mhm.
So what I did was I bought the 4Ks with the intent that this summer my brother and I are going to sit down, we're
Mhm.
going to watch each one, and I'm going to do a video talking about first time watch of like probably one of the most well respected 80s movies of all time.
Yeah.
As someone who loves the 80s, I want to watch it and see, okay, well, what do I think of this movie seeing it now
Mhm.
versus when I would have seen it as a kid? And it's blasphemy. It really is when you
Mhm.
think about it. Like for someone that, if you look at my collection and
Yeah.
you go down in my basement, it's like I have everything from the 80s. I have a freaking Alf plush thing right here in front of me.
Mhm.
Like, into the fact that that never came across my plate or rented for me or anything as a kid
Wow.
or saw
Wow.
on TV, it's wild. And
Mhm.
it's almost got to a point where it's such a weird thing that like my brother and I like, let's just not watch it for as long as we
Well,
can.
see, and then so, at the same, like I can totally get it because there's films that are like extremely popular that I've never seen, but not in like the mainstream popularity. Because like I think Indiana Jones, like it hit peak pop culture. Like I think everyone, just like Star Wars, like pretty much except
Mhm.
for you and your brother, has seen Indiana Jones. But like it's such a phenomenon. But there's crazy like Salem's Lot. I've never seen it.
Still?
Still.
Oh, I think
Still,
you'd
I
love it.
made an
But
attempt to watch the new one, and I
mhm.
got bored.
So that's the big thing with Salem's Lot that I find most people say is that it is a very long,
I don't
drawn
mind
out
that.
story with a cool payoff. But if it a lot of people get bored of it, which I get it, but I just feel like the story was so interesting, it's hard for me to not
So
say it's
I
boring.
I think I would probably like the original Salem's Lot. It's the new one that I got bored with.
Wait, like the remake?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, but
So
not
I
you.
didn't see any of them. And
Oh,
then like
so
the
you
new
haven't
one
tried to
came
watch
out.
you didn't see the new. Wait, you got the new Arrow 4K?
No, I didn't. I don't own
Oh,
it
okay.
yet.
I didn't know
Yeah.
if you said you were trying to watch that.
No, I was trying to watch the remake.
Oh, okay,
The
yeah, yeah, yeah.
remake.
I
And
mean,
so
I can
it's
see
like
you getting bored of Salem's Lot, but I also do think the old one is just
see
has
that's
such
the
a
thing. I'm pretty
great
sure I would get
build
sucked into the old one. I know myself. I like old
because
movies. I like the
you like
slower
70s
pacing.
movies and whatever.
Huh?
It like you like movies from the 70s where it was
Yeah,
like that very
100%.
like
70s
yeah,
pacing is, like,
sure.
for me, great. So I think I'll like it. It's just one of those things, like, I've never done it, and then I still haven't gotten the Arrow, 4K yet. And so I will, but I mean, like, I've had other priorities, so, I'll get
Yeah.
to it. So I totally get it, but, like, Salem's Lot's one of those ones that, like, it's so well respected, that would be like me saying I've never seen Psycho. I have, I love Psycho, but, like,
Mm.
it just almost feels like they're like, "What?" Like, because like, when stuff is part of pop culture and it's referenced, or even, like, just most people that don't even get into movies know about Salem's Lot. It's just I feel like maybe I should have seen it, there's that. So, but, like, the thing is we're
But at
all
the
on a
same
different
time,
journey.
Salem's Lot, though, in reality, the only reason I know what Salem's Lot is because my uncle who got me into loving horror movies is a
Mhm,
huge horror fiend and he was a kid of the 70s. So,
mhm,
I mean, if it wasn't for him, it may have been one I passed on too, because that he came to me and said, "Hey, this is the backstory in this movie. It was a two-part miniseries. When I was a kid, scared the shit out of me. I remember riding home and the after I watched part one and like feeling like he was gonna come out of the woods and it was freaking me out. So then I watched it because he
mhm,
pushed it on me when I was getting into horror as one of the best horror movies of all time. And if I didn't have him, I don't know if that would have come across my plate, right? So I
mhm.
I get it because we weren't alive then.
Yeah. Well,
So,
no, that makes sense, but I'm just saying, like, because I worked at the video rental store, and so that's when I started getting into horror myself. Like, that's when I found Amityville Horror, and I was starting to get some of the, Texas Chainsaw Massacres and getting some of those under my belt, because I worked there, and you got free rentals. It didn't matter, and so was just renting stuff. I had the whole setup in my bedroom. I could just watch whatever I wanted, and say even then Salem's Lot's one that I passed on, and I think it's probably because people weren't talking about it. Like, everyone talked about Amityville and everyone talked about all these other films, but that's also a thing too. Like, I remember some of my favorite films to this day are the ones that I found on my own. Like, they're still super popular, but for whatever reason, Jaws 2, when I was growing up, nobody ever talked about Jaws 2. And so Jaws, I think, is a fine film, but I just like Jaws 2 better. I don't know why. I think it's because nobody talked about it. I saw it and I enjoyed it, and I didn't have that constant putting it on a pedestal. And it was like the same with Halloween. Halloween is my all-time favorite horror film, and I like a lot, but like, Halloween for me is so special because everyone talked about Freddy Krueger, everyone talked about Jason, everyone, and like, people would quote it and talk about scenes. And I remember going to school and just hearing all this stuff, and so all of that stuff was on a pedestal. And then just one Saturday afternoon, I was flipping the channel and there was like this mini documentary. It was like, not I say documentary. It was like this mini clip. It's like basically talking about how John Carpenter revolutionized horror with this film. And then, he did the music, and then the studios didn't want anything to do with it until he did the music. And I was like, what is this? And I watched, it was the first time I ever watched it. It was a television cut, and I fell in love with it. And to this day, it's my favorite horror film. And it was because I found it on my own. But like, there
that's
is
always
that
kind of
thing of,
how sometimes the best things happen, right? Like you
yeah,
said, Jaws 2. I always loved Jaws 2 because that was the first Jaws I'd ever seen.
yeah,
My mom said, as a kid, my uncle was trying to push horror. My parents were really against me watching a lot of that
mhm,
kind of stuff. And then as I started getting older and she saw I was getting interested in it, she started kind of, dabbling in things. So she's like, okay, I think you're ready to see Jaws. Okay.
mhm,
So we went to the video store and they didn't have it. They only had Jaws 2. So she's like, oh, we'll just watch this one. Right. So like I didn't
yeah,
know any better back then. So I have a fondness for it because it was the first time I'd ever experienced that movie.
yeah,
And speaking of finding things kind of on your own or by accident, was Fright Night is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and it really was one of the movies that got me into horror because, which is funny, I have these right here. Is one day for it must have been my birthday, my uncle bought me the set of these cards called Fright Flicks which because I was a big baseball card guy
Oh,
growing
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
he
yeah.
bought me a box of these suckers, and I
Okay.
remember opening them as a kid and seeing things like Fright Night
Yeah,
scenes, and it said like, you know, "Do you need a manicure?" or "The soup's hot," and I was like, "What is this
yeah.
movie?" And then it was like a Saturday morning, I just got done watching wrestling, and it said, "Coming up next, Fright Night and Fright Night 2," and I was like, "Oh my god, that's the
Oh,
movie from
man.
the
So,
cards," and
Fright
I
Night is
watched it on TV on a Saturday morning and fell so in love with it that it just like it really just catapulted me into the genre.
so Fright Night for me was magical because uh there was like a whole shift in our life like at that time, and I remember my mom was so preoccupied, but there was like some reason she had this like guilt thing about her for this like small time period in my life. And so like these are the types of movies that she would never rent. She always was very super religious, and like everything that was against religion was against her. And like that was kind of her mentality. But for whatever reason, there was a small period in my life, and I was probably like 7 or 8, and she rented Fright Night, and then she went into the kitchen and she was cooking dinner, and she was on the phone with my aunt, and I was all by myself like 7 or 8 watching Fright Night, and it was the greatest experience of my entire life. I freaking have enjoyed that movie ever since then. I've owned it on every single format. Well, I mean VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray. But then yeah, it's one of those things like it was just that weird magical thing because I knew when I was watching it, it felt like I was doing something wrong. Like one, she rented it for me, so there was that. But like I knew she didn't like me watching rated R movies. I was 7 or 8 or whatever, maybe 9. I don't know. I was younger. So, but
But
I
think
just
about
like,
that feeling that like we both just literally told a story about the same movie,
yeah,
and that story like I could picture the feeling of the carpet I was sitting on in the living room
yeah,
when I
yeah,
saw it
yeah,
on
yeah,
like it's so
100%.
wild
Yeah.
that like you literally can have that embed. I can tell you I was sitting on we had like this leading up to my house like this
Mhm,
little cement walkway, and I
mhm.
was sitting on that looking at these damn cards for the first time outside when I saw
Yeah,
those images for the first time. And then a couple of years later, I sat on the floor in my living room watching it for the first time on a Saturday afternoon. And it's just wild that like out of all the shit that we've had in our life, those are the things that we
yeah.
remember
I was
so thoroughly, right? It's
there's
insane.
a whole like because like I've always had this thing, so it's like it's funny to me. So like I don't know if you've probably seen High Fidelity. So the whole movie, the whole point of High Fidelity, all of his girlfriends have an attachment to a song, and so he has this song attached to the girlfriend in the memory, and I've always had that my whole life, and it's not girlfriends, but it's like situations, times of my life, people, bad things, good things, all connected to movies. And so there's certain movies in my life that mean more than anything else because of that memory. And it's just wild. It's wild. I've always been able to do that. And it's why like certain films, like they're my all-time favorites.
It's
You
I
know?
100% agree. I think when a movie when you can remember things like that, I think it really just does show how important that time or that movie was to you.
Mhm.
The Burbs, the same thing. I remember
Oh
exactly
yeah.
where I saw it in the theater with my parents. I wasn't sure what it was. It was because Corey Feldman was in it and they knew
Yep.
I liked him.
Yeah.
So they brought me there, not realizing that it was like a comedy, like a horror comedy or whatever at the time. We all loved it. And then when it
Mhm.
came out on VHS, we rented it all the time. We loved it.
Oh man,
Um,
that's another one. Perfect example of how my mom was with the religion part. So like at the part where they start the neighbor starts he starts chanting like
yeah.
Satan is good, Satan is our
Yeah.
friend. My mom
Oh
got
no.
pissed, turned off the TV and said we weren't allowed to watch it. And so then I waited till she went to sleep, and I stayed up all night long so I could watch it. And it to this day, it's one of my favorite films. It really is. And I remember she was so mad. And then she was mad. And there was the funny thing about my mom with movies. She would get mad at actors for taking roles. She was mad at Tom Hanks for 2 weeks because he did The Burbs, and that was a movie that was against her religion. Like it was so funny, like growing up that way. But that's why the Fright Night thing meant so much to me because she rented it, and it felt like I was doing something wrong. It was
Mhm.
great. Yeah,
That is wild. Now,
yeah.
I mean, it's just and that's the kind of stuff I like talking about with people. Is just it's just insane to me that people have these memories that have to do with things like movies and these times in their life.
Mhm.
And there's a whole backstory behind it. And that could have been one of the reasons that you weren't into horror when you were younger because you weren't allowed to, right? So like it was
Yeah.
being held from you all those years, and
Well, and that's wild too, because like I remember I was in kindergarten. I had a black and white TV in my bedroom, and I turned it on. It was late at night, and couldn't go to sleep. And I remember standing like really close to it. It was the old click dials, just like I got there, the old click dials. And so you had to like click it so you could do it super slow so it wouldn't make a noise. And I stood there and it just so I could just barely hear it. And I watched Nightmare on Elm Street.
that's
The
awesome.
second one, I think that was I just watched it in black and white. And I remember going to kindergarten class the next day, like telling everybody about it. And I remember the teacher telling me that there's no way I ever saw that movie. And I was like, yes, I did. And like, so yeah, you're probably right. Like I wasn't into horror like growing up, but I was into the mainstream horror movies because
Hmm.
like I was always into it, but it's just I never had that like anybody going, hey, let's watch this together, or you should see this. Like I never had that until now. And like now I'm catching up on a lot more horror. But yeah, even like when I remember when I was buying the DVDs and like I would see them in stores, and I would, even if I went to Walmart and you see a whole DVD section, and that's where you'd usually find the obscure ones, the schlocky horror, the goofy stuff. And I like a lot of it, and I just stayed away from it because I was like, oh, it's not for me. But it
Hmm.
really is. I just needed people to say, hey, you should check this out. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I thought I saw a good comment in here. Somebody said, now did this is this something like that's teased, or did this just happen? They said Vestron announced The Watchers with Corey Haim on Blu-ray. Now, does that officially announce, like, did that happen when we were
I've been hearing
alive?
about this for a while.
I
I
have been
love
hearing
that.
Watchers is coming, but I didn't know I didn't know if there was an official announcement.
Well, if it
Um,
is, then I'm stoked because
oh, I'm
that's
stoked.
an easy day one pickup for sure. I
Oh,
finally got the
100%.
VHS, but oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's a
So
cool
good.
ass movie. It's
Yeah.
actually one of his best roles, I think. And again, I think he was just a great lead. But before we we wrap up, I do want to find out. I want to find out what the Instagram story is.
Okay, so the Instagram story is I had Instagram. I was super heavy into it. I was posting on a daily basis. I was putting up films, new parts, old films I got, new stuff I was coming in, and I was posting it up, and I was trying to just stay on top of it. And then I was, meeting other YouTubers and other people on social media, and I was growing. I'm pretty sure I was following you. I was following everybody. And then somebody hacked my Facebook account, which I didn't have. Like somehow I had one, but it was connected to Instagram, but I never used it. But somehow they hacked my Facebook account, the Instagram account, and my Twitter, and all that stuff got taken away. Like I got kicked off, and then I got an email saying that I did something wrong or I didn't follow the rules, and they canceled my account, and then I could appeal. And when I went into appeal, it just wanted to take a picture of my face from the front and the back, and then to verify it was me, but basically so that I could never have another account. And then I didn't know what I did, and so I peeled it. I didn't get anything back from them because like each one was Facebook and Instagram was basically saying that it was the other one. It was I did something wrong on this account, and that's why I couldn't have it, and I did something wrong on the other account, and so I couldn't have it. Twitter, I appealed it, and after 2 weeks, I eventually got it back. But I had already created a new Twitter account, so I do have that, but I very rarely use it. But then I couldn't get. I tried to get my Instagram back. I couldn't get it, and then like a couple months later, I finally tried to get another one, and then I started following everybody. I started posting, and I changed my name a little bit. But then I started posting again about the movies and stuff, and then all of a sudden, like after a couple days, it was like, "We think you're connected to this other account, so you can't have this account either."
That's
And so
weird,
I
man.
don't know what they did, but somebody hacked my account and didn't like me and posted something or did something horrible, and they
Not
won't
not
tell
more of
me
these
what I
trolls and
did.
haters again.
It was so weird, man. And like people saw it in real time. And there was a thing is like some I was part of this Instagram chat group. I got invited to this thing, and there was a bunch of other creators on it, and they were there, and I was actively in the chat. And then I went live, or we recorded some kind of episode or something, and I messaged the guy through the Instagram chat, and then by the time that session was done, it was like we weren't live. It was just a recording, like collaboration. By the time that was done, my Instagram was gone.
Hmm.
Again, that was the second time. And so like I just don't I have an Instagram now, But as long as I don't post movie stuff, because like I'm heavy into plants. Like you can't see them because it's all dark, but I have real live plants back there. I'm a huge into it, and it's just a hobby I've been doing for a while, and I love it. So I have a plant avatar. I only follow and look at plant stuff and other things I like. I don't do
So basically, you're
anything
saying
movie
everybody leave
related.
you alone unless you're doing plants.
If I do anything movie related, they go, "We think you're attached to this account," and they scrape me. It's
That's
3 different times
wild.
it happened after the initial thing. So I just do the plant thing now. So I'm technically on Instagram, but not movie related. I don't follow anybody. I don't look at anything like any of the even boutique labels. I don't even follow it. I literally follow a whole bunch of plant people that talk about plants all day. And I've had Instagram now for like 8, 9 months. And
That
so
is
that's
wild.
the Instagram story. It's
So you're in a
weird.
whole new corner of the gram right now.
Yeah. Like I don't do anything movie related, but on Twitter, I have no problem. But I just, there's a lot of that weirdness back and forth where there's political stuff, and so when I
Mhm.
I do post stuff about movies, but it never gets the same traction that the stuff used to get on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm not on Twitter. I never really got into it too much. Like I have a page, but I
Mhm.
tried for a little while, but I was like, it's just not it doesn't feel the same for me. But usually Instagram, I didn't know because that's how usually people kind of get in touch because they have like the
Yeah,
message feature and stuff, where YouTube doesn't really have that. So, but no, I'm glad we were able to make this work, man, for sure. And like I said, I've
yeah.
been watching a lot of your content. You're plugging away. You're putting out a lot of stuff. If you guys like physical media talk, all formats, definitely go give him a follow as well. And I'll have him attached to this video too. So it'll be an easy way to kind of subscribe over to his
Yeah.
channel. Like he said, he's almost at 10,000. So maybe we can try to put him over in the next couple weeks or whatever. So, man, what do you have coming up on the channel? People can plug it, tell them where to find you, tell them what videos you got coming up or what you just posted.
I honestly don't have anything planned right now. I did the Halloween imprint
Oh yeah, what
unboxing.
happened? Did it come broke, damaged?
Oh man, it was like the
I've
most
heard this. People have
disappointed.
talked about this.
It was the most I was the most disappointed I ever was about getting any kind of release. So I bought it day one, like, and they send me some review copies sometimes. And like, so that was one of the situations where like, no matter what, I'm such a Halloween fan. I'm an imprint fan. I love, I collect imprint films, and I was buying them longer than I was on YouTube. And even the stuff that most people don't even enjoy, I like a lot of the older films. And so I was getting into imprint heavy. And so no matter what, I was like, I can't take a chance. Maybe they'll send me a review copy. Maybe they won't. I want Halloween. I forked over the cash day one. They announced it. I pre-ordered it day one. I was one of the first 1,000 people, and then it was that thing where they extended to 2,000, and then eventually they got rid of the Halloween pumpkin, and then they switched to the steelbook thing, and then 11 months later, more disappointment. My thing came scratched and dented, and like I did the whole unboxing. Like the box was perfect. And when it was wrapped in the shrink wrap, it looked pretty good. And then I could see some scratches through it. But once I opened it, I could see the dent. And then every single steelbook was individually wrapped, and there was a scratch on at least one scratch on every single disc on both sides.
Now,
And so
can
it's
you
just
get a
like how they
replacement on
did it
that
at the
or
factory, huh?
is there replacements for that?
I got to look into it. I guess Arthur was telling me that his had the same issue, and his discs or his cases got scratched too. But they're sending him just the outer box as a replacement, and so I gotta contact them and figure that out. But it was disappointing because I'm a huge
Yeah.
fanboy. Like it's one of those things that, like, I've had such a good experience. It almost feels like I'm a crazy shill. But finally, it was like I had a bad experience, and I told everybody, and yeah, it was disappointing, very disappointing. But
Let me
the
ask you
films
this,
look great.
do you look at the price that you paid for that and do you feel that it was worth the price or
No,
no?
no.
Yeah, see, I couldn't justify it. I have Halloween so many times, and on 4K, I have a whole box set, and I'm like, I can't spend that much money on just this. Like, there's only 5 movies in here, but I didn't know if somebody like maybe that didn't have Halloween, if the price was worth it,
No, I
but
have Halloween. I have them all. I'm a Halloween collector. It's one of those things like I don't actively collect it. Like I'm not searching on eBay and spending a fortune trying to get every single Halloween thing because I would love to get the Halloween Criterion Laserdisc, but it's like
mm,
$100, and it's one of those
mm,
things like it's turning into a holy grail where I'm like it'd be cool to have, but having it on 4K and Blu-ray and DVD and VHS, like I've got a million ways to watch it. Like I don't need that Criterion, but it's kind of cool. So I'm at that point, but then it was the pumpkin. It was literally the pumpkin. And then even after they changed it and they're like, look, where you can get your money back, you can keep it. Even then I was like, it's too expensive, but I wanted it. And it was the
Mhm.
end of, I just wanted it. That was the thing.
Mhm.
And then, but like looking at it now, like, yeah, it was too expensive. But like, I don't know, like, 13 discs, like when you start boiling down, like what did they have to pay to get that stuff made? Like there is certain times where things are expensive to be expensive, or it's a boutique to be a boutique. But like with that one being a library case, I just don't think the price was there. Even
Yeah.
if they had to pay an arm and a leg to get all of that content that they put out, there's 13 discs. I don't remember how many discs the Scream Factory sets came with. But
But why is there 13 discs?
oh, there's the TV cuts. There's like tons of bonus stuff. Like there's stuff that isn't available on the Scream Factory stuff. But like
Oh,
most of
there
the Scream
is.
Factory stuff is over there too. But there's I think most every, like at least the first two films, I'm pretty sure come with the TV cuts, and they're like that. The very first Halloween has 4 discs. Like one whole disc dedicated to bonus features. There's the theatrical cut, the unrated cut, and the TV cut, 3 separate discs, and then a
That's
disc
interesting.
for
I'd have
bonus
to I'd have
features.
to look in to see if there's what's if there's anything new on there for sure.
Yeah, I like the thing is I just watched them all, and then the frustrations of like I unboxed it first and so disappointed, and then I watched it all. I didn't have time to dive into the features, but there might be a difference. But no, I need it? No. Did I want it? Yeah. It's one of those things.
Mhm.
But it was
Mhm.
the I got it such a joy out of getting the Never Ending Story set. And that's another one that I didn't wait to see if they were going to send me a review copy. I bought that day one,
Same.
and I enjoyed it. It's one of the things, like I knew it was overpriced and I knew it was big and I knew it was ridiculous. And for me, it's cool.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
kind
think
of where I was too. I was in the same boat. It was expensive, but I'm just like, when can I get this book like this? And the thing's
that was
freaking
the thing. It
massive.
was being an 80s kid and wanting
Yeah.
that book. That's
Same
what it
same reason I
was.
have this Chucky doll behind me because of being a kid and being like, I just want an
Yeah.
actual Chucky doll, Child's Play doll,
Yeah, yeah,
good
yeah,
guy
yeah.
doll.
It's
So
why I
I
think
have
it's
to
why we
fork over the
collect all
money.
this stuff, is like there's a little bit of nostalgia, but then there's still a little bit of coolness factor on some of it.
Mhm. Stuff that we've always wanted that finally we can get now. Like,
Yeah,
man, we would have shit for a Never-Ending Story book as kids, but it didn't
right.
exist,
Yeah.
Like
100%.
I walk around
100%.
Target and I see all these toys, like all these like Mario toys and
Mhm.
stuff, and I'm like, my brother and I would have went nuts for these as a kid. We were so obsessed with Nintendo and Mario. We literally
Mhm.
had my dad cut out pictures of Mario from like a Nintendo Power, and then he'd paste cardboard behind him so we could like use them as an action figure because they didn't Mario figures didn't exist when I was a kid. They do
Yeah.
now, but like when I was a kid and I actually wanted them, like when Nintendo was hot, it's like they weren't there.
No,
So
it's one of those things that like I asked my mom years ago, like when my oldest kid was like young, I was like, "How did you keep up?" And she told me it was because they didn't crank out the stuff that like they do now when we were kids. Like there was breathing room between
mhm.
this new movie or this new toy. Like there was breathing room. Now it's just this new thing and this new thing and this new movie and all these, all this stuff is just you're bombarded with it. And so all these kids are just like, gimme, gimme, gimme. And we were kids, there was breathing room. It's
Yeah, and
just
there was
it's
always like
different. It's
there was always
definitely different.
sections because I was really big into action figures, and I can tell
Mhm,
you the transition. It was like He-Man.
mhm.
Then when He-Man was over, Ghostbusters. Then I
Yep.
did the Ghostbuster thing. Then Ghostbusters was over, Turtles,
Yeah.
and then wrestling. Right. So there was like pieces. It wasn't like He-Man, Turtles, and Ghostbusters all at the same time. Like it's that
Right.
that didn't
Yeah.
exist.
Exactly. Exactly. No, and that's the thing. And like it didn't dawn on me because like when my oldest was at that right age, I think it was the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie. She
Mhm.
wouldn't shut up about it. She was calling me. She was like telling me all the time, like she wanted to go see it. She wanted to go see it. And then by the time it was in theaters, I'm like, hey, let's go see it. There was something else out. And she was like, I don't want to see that anymore. And I was like, you didn't shut up about this thing for 6 months. And she's like, I'm over it. This new thing's out. And that's the thing is, it was the new thing was out. And it's just like, man, we didn't have that. And I just feel lucky that we had it the way we had it because it's the same journey you had. Like, all those franchises, they're great. And like I haven't gone to a theater or the movie in theaters since they re-released the first Turtles in theaters last year. So that was the last time I went. And then I think the time before that was Christmas time. I went to see National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation in theaters, and that was that. But then Masters of the Universe, I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna go see it. That's gonna
I
get me
I
to
would
the
like to
theater.
go see it. I'm afraid for it, but I will hopefully go see it. I definitely want to see Scary Movie. I'm gonna see that hopefully day of,
Yeah.
and then hopefully I'll be able to see He-Man because it was, I mean, that was my first, love as a childhood was the cartoon and the toys. So I
Well,
have to
how
go
did
see
you feel about the movie?
the Dolph one.
Yeah.
As a kid, I feel like it was one of those things that we talked about. Like I knew there was a problems with it, but
Yeah.
it's like you kind of learned to
Love it.
not see them with that lens. You almost
Yeah.
like kind of just forced yourself to like it anyways. And now I actually appreciate it more now. And I did that's the same thing with Mario Brothers movie,
Mhm.
is that when I was a kid, I was like, okay, cool, but I wasn't happy. I was like, this doesn't feel like I would have
See,
imagined this feeling like.
with see, the thing is with so I'm with you 100% on He-Man, like same boat where I'm like, because it came out after the cartoon was over, it didn't feel
Mhm.
the same. We weren't in Eternia, but it was cool. But then like I did appreciate it as I grew up. And then as I've been able to share it with my kids this whole time, like that's been a huge thing. But Mario, I skipped it. When it came out, I was pissed, man. Like I was so excited. So I heard it was coming out. Everyone was talking about the buzz. It was in the back of comic book or not comic books, video game magazines were talking about it nonstop that it was coming. They're making it. The trailer dropped, and I was like, "What is this?" And I skipped it. And then like a couple friends of mine went and saw it that weekend or whatever, and then they're like, "It sucked. It was horrible." And so then I skipped that movie until I was probably in my early 20s. I finally rented it, and I thought it was great. But at
It
that time,
You
I had
can
a
see
chip on my
now what they were
shoulder.
going for, and you can kind of appreciate it, but back
Yeah,
then when you're expecting the video game, and, like,
yeah,
I remember even being a little, like, off with it when they showed the picture, and I'm like, "Why is Luigi don't even have a mustache?" Like, I was already pissed off at that
yeah.
point, and I'm like, "This is stupid," and then I remember seeing it and being like, "That was terrible," and then as I got older, I appreciated it a lot more.
Right. Oh, 100%, 100%. There's been a few of those that like, and that, have you had this problem? Because I've had this thing. I know you said you want to wrap it up, so we can do that anytime.
Yeah,
I
no,
enjoy
we're
hanging
here,
out.
let's do it. Let's talk.
But no, it was. Do you ever have this thing where a movie 20 years ago you thought was like whatever or mediocre or the whole world thinks it's the greatest and you just don't get it, but now it's like one of your favorites.
Probably. Let me think if I can think of something off the top of my head. I can go back to horror movies. Like there was a lot of the Halloween sequels that I hated growing up,
Mhm.
and I like them now. But as a kid, growing up, I didn't like them at all. That was some, but I mean, I'm sure there's probably a lot more like mainstream, like non-horror stuff that I can probably feel that way for. I'm looking at my non-horror shelf right here to see if there's anything that stands out to me. But uh I don't know, but looking at some of these movies, man, I'm like, man, we had it so good. I'm looking at the Problem Child movies. How good were those?
Oh yeah.
So,
I don't even have the second one. I got the first one.
oh, so
Yeah,
good,
they
man.
wouldn't make stuff like that today. It was so fun, man. Yeah, no. So I asked that because like I remember when I was a kid, like I was a weird kid because it was the people I was always around were into dramas and stuff. And so it was like crime dramas, like heist movies. Like that's my go-to. Like my all-time favorite. Like I don't care, good or bad. You give me a crappy heist movie, I'll still watch it. I might not buy it, but I'll still watch it. So I was like into a lot of that stuff. I was into the dramas like Shawshank. I was watching Shawshank Redemption when it came out. Lady Hawk. Lady Hawk is one all my friends hated, and like I was into that type of stuff. But then like it was like the all the dumb comedies that, I mean, I say dumb, but like they were great. But at the time I was like, this it's whatever. I did not like Happy Gilmore. I did not get it. I was a kid. I watched it when it came out. All my friends thought it was the greatest thing in the whole world. And I was like, it was funny. I laughed, but I don't needed to see it again. Like, and then like I watched it a few years later, and then it was just like the same thing. And then I don't know. It was like right towards the end of Best Buy before they stopped carrying movies in stores. They had it for $5, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a chance. I watched it, and this was just a few years ago, and so like 20 years later, I'm like, this is the greatest film ever. I get it now. I think it's hilarious. I've watched it. I've probably watched it like close to 20 times in the past couple years, and it's just to me, it's great. And there's been so many of those that like 20 years ago, I'm like, this is great. And I think part of it is what we were talking about is like modern cinema. It's either crap or it's mediocre. And if it's mediocre, like everyone's like, it's so great because
Yeah,
it's
and
not
I think the
crap.
thing is though, it's like especially comedies, like when you watch what we had from the 80s, 90s, and even 2000s, and then all of a sudden you put on the comedies now, it's like it's not even it doesn't even touch it at all. It's not funny, and that's
No.
why I think people start appreciating a lot like Happy Gilmore's and all that stuff now because it's so different. We don't get anything like that anymore.
Yeah, no, we don't get anything like that anymore. And then here's another phenomenon that I noticed because I watch a ton of old films. Like even like I watch old black and white stuff all the time. We are getting now this weird era in cinema where it's almost like there's no people. And so there's always been movies that have a small cast. Like so the small cast is not a new phenomenon, but we're seeing more of things that are set in bigger cities or bigger areas. It's supposed to feel big and there's like nobody. It's just the main little tiny cast
Mhm.
and these overblown budgets. But I'm watching films from the 90s or the 1920s and there's tons of people just walking around, especially if it's filmed in a city. But even not like even like stuff that's like those like rom-coms from the 90s where it's like out in the country, there's still tons of people. And now these films, it's basically nobody. It was the same thing. It was my frustration with people were going nuts over that Maxine movie. And I was like, there's like nobody. Like it took me a long time to figure out they were in a police station in the one scene because it's just her and the lady who's grilling her, and they're in a weird hallway in a white room. And it took me forever to realize it's the police station. Like that place should be so busy. And because like if they're filming it today in real time, and I understand they're trying to capture the 1970s, it still should have a lot of people. And there just doesn't seem like that's a thing anymore.
Remember all those movies like RoboCop and stuff? Every time they're in the police station, it was a freaking
Yeah, it's
madhouse
a
in there. Remember?
madhouse. Like any movie. Like one of my favorites. One of my favorites is Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. I
Mhm.
love that movie. It's dumb, it's goofy, and it comes up on like one of the worst movies ever lists all the time. But I love it. That scene when they're anytime they're in the police station, like there's tons of people and so much going on. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Last Action Hero, same thing. It's always
Last
that
Action
police
Hero.
station
Oh
is
my god, that's so
packed.
good. Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's been so cool to kind of just talk nostalgia, man. I could do this all day long, and hopefully
Yeah.
people and that's what I love about the videos, like just in general, is like if people can watch the videos and kind of get that either rush of nostalgia or unlock a memory, like
Mhm.
that's huge for me. And that's what I love when I
Yeah.
watch other people's stuff. That and like you said before, movie discovery is another big one for me. That's always been
Mhm.
something I love, and that's why I'm trying to give back with that stuff because I have so much of it too. And I saw someone in the comment put, what do you think about people who watch their movies and just collect the movies and don't watch them? Well, I know there's probably a lot of people out there that collect and don't watch, but there are a lot of movies in my collection that I've never seen because there might be a situation where, I'll get an order from Vinegar Syndrome and I'll order like 10 things and just not get to certain things. But
Mhm.
when I'm doing all these videos on discovery of these movies that I'm referencing for you guys, a lot of that is over blind buys of stuff that I've bought that
Mhm.
I've either just recently watched that I might mix in the mix, like with some of the stuff that I've watched a long time ago. But yeah, well, like especially like some of these boutique shelves, like I look and there's still a lot of movies in here that I haven't even tapped into yet. But
Yeah.
the joy of tapping into them has been great, because I
Oh
still
yeah.
try to chip away on that stuff because I always end up going back to my my favorites all the time.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Well, so I'm in a situation which I'm more blessed than I ever have been in my movie collecting journey because I'm able to watch like 4 to 5 movies on a daily basis because of my lifestyle and how I've figured that out. And like I try to do the rotation where like all my favorites that I've seen 100 million times, like I'll put that on. So I'm not sitting down watching 4 to 5 movies like laser focused all the time, like maybe 1 or 2 a day. But there's always a movie on. I don't like to listen to music, and if I do, it's soundtracks, and like that's where I live and die in the music field. And so like anytime I'm doing anything, cooking, doing chores, like doing anything that I can't just sit down and watch a movie, I have a movie on. And so that's when I
Mhm.
watch, things that I've seen 100 million times. And I know the movie inside and out. So I can catch bits and pieces and still get that joy. But if it's a movie I've never seen, I got to make time for that. But even then, like I said, 4 to 5 movies are playing a day, and the movies that I've never seen before, like now is that time. Like at nighttime, everyone's asleep, and then it really doesn't matter what I watch, and I can just get them in. And so I do that. I don't know how you handle that. I know you're busy. I know you do that whole
I
uh,
know it's hard.
business thing.
I try to squeeze them in any way I can. Luckily a lot
Mhm,
of the movies that I talk about on the channel are stuff I've seen so many times that I can easily just kind of ramble about it.
mhm,
But if I want to add in some things I haven't seen in a long time, it takes time. Like I have a pretty good format of how I do things. I do it on certain days, so I know, okay, I'm going to put it out on Thursday because I know Wednesday I don't have to go to work till this time, so I have that whole morning
mhm,
to kind of bang out one or two movies. Okay, Tuesday I get out of work at 5. So, between if I'm working out, I can throw a movie on in my gym and I know I have that time to kind of squeeze one in. And then maybe I'll either go live or I'll watch a second one Tuesday night because I know Wednesday I don't have to be in work early. So, I mean, like, there's the way I schedule my videos based on what I'm
mhm.
going to do. It gives me a little bit of that open space to kind of fit a couple things in if I need to, but I probably
Okay.
get in maybe like 3 movies a week usually.
Okay. Well, I mean, and that's totally fair. And then here was the one thing I was curious, like, so you I think you answered my question. Like, you seem to try to watch things to then talk about them and make a video, and like,
Yeah, and
I
usually
do
if I
that.
do, like, a video that's, like, a list video where I talk about
Mhm.
multiple movies, I always kinda throw in, like, obviously ones that I've seen plenty of times so I don't have to go back and watch.
Yeah.
There's always a couple in there that I might have to rewatch again just so I remember it.
No, I was just curious how like certain other people do it, because like I try to do that like almost like a balance thing. And so like in those bunch of movies I get to watch per day, I know I want to watch the movies that I've seen 100 million times and like my favorites, and there might be something new that came in, but I figured out like what's worked best for me is like I'll try to watch one or two that I have to for a video, even if I have to review it or something or whatever's going on, and then because I look at it like work, but then I always try to watch one movie for myself that I don't share, and
Yeah,
I
I
found
mean,
that like
dude, I
really more enjoyable, because like what was happening to me is it was like, here's the new stuff coming out, talk about the new stuff, buy the new stuff, get the new stuff, talk about the new stuff, and it was just this cycle, man, and it was just like I just
well, you know what it is, dude?
started
I'm
getting.
not buying a lot of new stuff that much anymore, so
Well, no,
I
I
don't
mean,
have
like,
that
not in.
feeling, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
that wasn't. I'm not necessarily buying it, but like every single Saturday, I do the live stream, and in that live stream, we talk about all the new stuff
The
coming
new
out, and
releases,
like,
yeah, yeah.
so it's like not, it's just like in this pocket over here. I'm talking about new stuff, but then I have stuff coming in, and then so like it's not the same new stuff, but it's just
Well,
like,
this is actually a good question. I don't this
yeah,
would be interesting to hear.
yeah, what?
Getting into TV shows is dude, I don't watch any TV shows, and, like, that's one of those things that I probably am missing out on a lot of stuff. But man, when you I have like I train a lot of people every day, and people
Mhm.
always say to me, "Oh my god, have you seen this?" No, I don't watch TV shows. Oh, you got to watch it. Next person comes in, "Hey, have you seen this?" No, I haven't. And everybody tells me to watch something that's on right now. That's different than what the other. I'm like, how many fucking shows are out there right now? I
Yeah,
can't keep
well,
up
and
with
that was my
this.
point of when I was saying my kid, like it was just so much coming out, like it's the same stuff. Like I stay away from it. I have all my TV shows, like very few are new. And I have a ton of the old stuff that we grew up with. Like I got like all the cartoons that we grew up with. I
Right.
got Thundercats over there. And like that's the type of stuff. And that was the other thing, is like my youngest kid has never been like bombarded with cable, because like she was born and we cut off the cable, we cut off satellite dish, and so like regular commercials, we go to my in-laws and she sees commercials, she loses her mind. Like she's because it's take a movie or a DVD or a TV show off the shelf and put it in, and that's been her whole life. But then at the same time, like all the cartoons she's ever been introduced to are the ones we grew up with, and so
Mhm.
like that's just kind of been our life. And the same thing, like we go to my in-laws and then my brother-in-law will ask me like, have you seen this on Netflix? We don't have Netflix. Have you seen this? And like that's all they ever want to talk about. And it's just every time it's like a new show, and it's like it's that whole like, I got to talk about it because it's popular, have you seen it? And I'm just like, what point of it is enjoyable if you're always just watching the trending thing that everybody else is watching at work? And
But
so
it
for
doesn't
me, it's
stop.
never been
Or it
fun.
could be like, you know what? I have some clients that do this, which is interesting. Like they'll split it because they're watching, let's say they're watching 4 series or whatever. They'll say, okay, Monday we watch this, Tuesday watch it. And then the next week it's like, then we binge it again on Monday, the next couple seasons or whatever. So they have it like lined up where they're pretty much running like 5 shows at the same time because they
Yeah.
just split it into days, kind of how when we were kids and it was like Seinfeld's on Thursdays and Home
Yeah.
Improvement's on Tuesdays, right? Like they do that now
Mhm.
because because there's so much out there. And it's like, oh, this one's on Netflix, this one's on Apple, this one's
But
on
even
Paramount
then,
Plus.
though,
Like,
they're
it's wild.
smaller. So, like, those new TV shows, I hate them because I've tried. There's one show that I kind of liked. It was the one with John Hamm, and he loses his job, and it's on Apple TV. And I watched it because I had Apple TV for a moment because I was real sick last year, and so I was like, I gotta do something, and so that was easy. And this show with John Hamm, he loses his job, and he lives in a super rich neighborhood, and he's got to pay his ex-wife, he's got to pay child support, he's got to pay her mortgage, his mortgage. Bills are stacking up. He's got no money. He starts robbing his neighbors because they'll never miss it. And then there's like somebody gets murdered, and then maybe he did it. He gets kind of framed. It's a good show. 8 episodes. All these shows you get invested into. It's 8 episodes, and then it's like years before the next season comes out. Where when we were kids, 20 episodes or more, and then a very short amount of time before the next episode came out, because in the summertime they would do the reruns. And so when it would kick back up in the fall, by the time the season was over into the spring, like after the reruns for the Christmas season, spring, whole new show again, or fall, new show in the fall. But it was just, to me, it was just a much better way to get invested in those shows. Like 8 episodes, I can't do it. And then it creates that binge watching thing where, all right, 8 episodes, I got to watch them all. Or you wait till this show is done and there's like 4 seasons or whatever, and then you just binge the whole thing. It's so mind numbing.
And people get hooked on it. Like they'll do like 6 episodes a day or whatever, and
I can't
crazy.
do it, man.
But then what happens is everybody's on a different point. So it's like you go, the fun part was when you'd go to school or go to work and you'd be like, oh, did you see what happened on that show last night? Everybody has they're all in the same place, where now it's like, oh, did you see this? And it's like, no, I'm not there yet. Like everybody's at a different point of the show that they want to talk about. Like I'm only on season 2. Oh no, I'm on season 6.
Yeah. I do miss that when we were kids in the 90s where, the certain shows were on a certain day. And so we've implemented that into the house too. I don't do a lot of the Plex server stuff, but all of the TV shows I've ripped to my computer and we stream it. And so any TV show, and we have it written down in a book. Mondays we watch this, Tuesdays we watch this, and it's just that schedule. It literally rewired my kid's brain, because she's always had access to anything, and she would do the binge watching some of her favorite shows, and it rewired her brain to literally no more attitude. It was just crazy how it just changed her attitude. But we enjoyed it too. It turned into this something the entire family looked forward to. And the thing is, we didn't even have streaming in the house, but it was just that structure of, we watch Home Improvement on Saturday. And I saw TJ's comment about Home Improvement. We watch Home Improvement on Wednesdays. We watch, what was it? We watch Briscoe County Junior on Mondays. We're watching all that old stuff. TGIF, we actually have all those shows. And so every Friday we do the TGIF, the Gambit.
Awesome, I love that. I love that. See, I'm just I just looked over here. I have Perfect Strangers right there.
Yeah, Perfect. The Perfect Strangers is one of my all-time favorite shows. Yeah. I've always loved that. And then I regretted introducing it to my daughter because she loves it, but she loved it to the point where she watched it so much she could just blindly repeat it word for word.
Is so wild.
And it started.
I love that though, of this generation being into that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, I love it. But at the same time, I don't want to watch Perfect Strangers anytime soon. But it is one of those things. It's been such a joy because, like I said, I've got older kids. They're all older and moved out and done their own thing and all that. But they lived in the regular streaming type era, regular cable TV, and they kind of missed all that. And this one here, she loves movies. She has her own movie collection. And I mean, partly it's my fault, but I wouldn't have
that's
it
good
though,
because you can kind of share some of that stuff with her. Not necessarily share, hey, you can put this in your room, but you can share the experiences if they're interested in it.
And then here's the crazy thing too, is I have my favorites, and a lot of our favorites are crossed. We have a lot of things that we just love in common, but some of her favorite movies, I'm like, what? It blows my mind because I'm like, not that I didn't know that she was a different person, but it's just that would not have been on my bingo card for that to be your favorite movie,
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
again,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just you're passing down the nostalgia, man. I mean, what can you
Oh,
say
for
about that?
sure,
It is
for
what it is, and
sure.
you're reliving the nostalgia through them, which is even cooler,
Well,
and
yeah,
through
because
all of
like,
us here and everybody who watches.
well, that was the greatest thing is like when I've seen something a million times, but then she's seen it for the first time, like that magic changes how I feel about things. And there's been some movies and things that I like, not really been my absolute favorite, but because she enjoyed it, oh,
Mm.
all-time favorite now. Like it's changed how I think about certain things. But yeah, it is that joy. But it also is the same thing here on YouTube. So like there was this guy a year ago. I made a video talking about this movie I imported from Italy, and I was super stoked about it, talking about it. He commented on that video a year ago. A year later, he commented just the other day, and this like blew my mind. Same video, same guy, same just a year later. His parents were going to Italy. They were going to track the movie down. And then so I was like, oh man, it's super awesome. And he was like super excited when they got back. He was going to watch it. He then messaged me a couple days later that they actually went to a place, they got a guy, he didn't have it, they ordered it. And then before they were going back home, they were going to stop at the store and be able to get it. And it did like that right
That's
there.
so cool though that he remembered that video and went back to it to tell you.
It's wild, but it's not the first time, but like that one was like the most meaningful to me because it was just that joy that like for him to find this movie and then eventually like a year later he has an opportunity to get the movie. Like that was
Mhm.
cool. That
We
was
got another
cool.
super chat in here right before we finish. Yeah, this is awesome. Thoughts on Wicker Man? I love Wicker Man. I don't know if you're familiar with it or if you're a fan of it.
I am familiar with it. It's one of those ones that I've stayed away from, and I've only stayed away from it because it was this weird. So I do this thing, and maybe it's wrong, but if there's like this bandwagon fandom on anything, I usually stay away from it.
You fight the system.
I kind of do. I kind of do. And so like I'm
Well, I
not
mean, I can't say the same. I kind of do too, but I guess it all depends on
yeah,
what you
and here's the thing with Wicker Man. So like I was all into it. Like I was super excited. I'm pretty sure I think Imprint put out a box set and I skipped it. Because like it was just one of those things like and it wasn't the original Wicker Man that anybody was talking about. It was the bandwagon fandom over the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man, but it was at the time when it came out, people hated it. But then it
Mhm.
was this internet exposure of it, and like crazy Nicolas Cage and showing the scene where he's like the
Bees.
bees,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
that whole thing becoming an internet meme. And then people are like, "Oh my god, Wicker Man, Wicker," and then wouldn't shut up about it. Then I'm like, I don't need to see it now. And so like that's
The
been my
original one is great. But I
so
was gonna
I
say
I
when you said that, I was thinking to myself, I still feel like Wicker Man doesn't get enough due diligence, to be honest. But
no, it's I
I
didn't see
remember
the
that point in time
original.
with the Nicolas Cage stuff, and everybody
Yeah,
was like, "Oh yeah, yeah."
yeah, so it was the Nicolas Cage stuff and the bandwagon fandom over the internet meme that's just caused me not to see either of the films. So, but I probably want to get that
This is
Imprint
why you get the
part.
trolls, brother.
Huh?
This is why you get the trolls.
It is. I'm like, I'm not seeing this movie.
That's sex. Don't talk to me. Ragnar was watching Wicker Man before we were born. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I'm older than I look. I don't know. Oh, here we go. The bees. See, we're trolling.
yeah.
But so you said you're gonna do a video tomorrow, but you don't know what it is yet. Is that what you're telling me?
I have like a whole thing written down of things I'm going to do, but it depends on how tomorrow works out. Like that's
Okay.
literally it. So I do the
All right.
homeschool thing with my kid, and basically, if I wake up first, I wake up about 6 o'clock in the morning, and so if I wake up then and I'm able to just have my coffee, do my thing, morning routine, get the video out before she wakes up, good to go. If she wakes up first thing in the morning, then it really depends. And so I have a couple video options, but it just depends on what I could squeeze in. So I write them
Mhm.
down, and so I plan out each week, and I write down a list of my ideas of what I want to tackle, and then like yesterday the Imprint box came in, and so I was able to do that, and so that pushed some things off to the right.
Sure.
But it all depends. It all depends. I just have a few things, but like nothing huge, like nothing where I'm like, oh, you guys tune in because I'll be doing this. Like I do the list videos sometimes, but then like it gets weird with YouTube. Like it depends on like the type of list video. Like they seem to do
It's
better long term, but initially like YouTube's like your audience doesn't like this. Do something else.
mhm. So it's funny because I'm almost like in a weird thing right now where it's like almost like my videos kind of connect. Like as soon as I put something out, I have a whole list of things I want to do, but then all of a sudden I may do one video, and then as I'm talking throughout the video, it like will spark me an idea for
Mhm.
like a follow-up, right?
Yeah,
Like
that
that's
happens.
kind of
That
how I
definitely
feel like it's been working out, and it's almost like now it's a continuation. So I just did the Fright Night 2 video last week talking about the 4K, and now I'm going to put out a video tomorrow talking about other overlooked horror sequels of the
Mhm.
80s to kind of almost piggyback on that. So that
Yeah.
was not what I originally had planned, but because people really dug the Fright Night 2 stuff, I was like, all right, well, now I can just, fade that into this and talk about more movies that I think are underrated sequels of that time. So it's kind of interesting how it works. But like you said, you have ideas, but then you might get something in where you're like, oh, I got to shift gears
Mhm.
for a second
Yeah.
because I get this one. Yeah. It's the
Yeah,
nature
that's
of the
it.
beast, I guess. But guys, he will be hooked to the video. So if you just go down there, you can find him at 80s Made. I don't know if it's 80s Made on YouTube, but then your handle is 80s Made Consumer, right? Your little at.
Yeah, I think because it changed. That was because that was the whole thing. Is I always went by 80s made consumer, but then like when I got hacked, I think I dropped off. So like it's at 80s made, but like the name comes up 80s made consumer. So you can find me there no matter what. I'm there.
Yeah, man. But it's been great going back in time, talking about this stuff, talking about
Yeah,
physical
yeah,
media. If
yeah.
you guys like physical media talk, that's definitely what you can find over on his channel. Um, Thank you, man. I appreciate you coming on. It was cool to chat
Mhm.
finally.
Well, yeah, I feel the same. Thank you for having me on. And like I said, like I've been watching you for a long time, and it was great to hang out. It really was.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do it again in some format. Maybe do some kind of
Mhm.
collab on a release or some kind of like topic or something like
Sure.
that. Maybe so whatever. License to Drive comes out on 4K. We'll talk about
Yeah, it's like my
it.
I'm always open. Like that.
Okay.
Yeah, license to drive. Phew. Oh, I would be stoked. That would be a day one. I wouldn't shut up about it. And like the thing that one bothers me because like the Blu-ray, I finally got the Blu-ray, the out of print one. I spent a little bit
Mhm.
extra on it, but like the DVD features didn't get ported over to the
I
Blu-ray. The
know. I
Blu-ray's
know.
lacking, and like the Blu-ray's worth having. Like it's a good picture. So that's like when you asked earlier, when I upgrade, do I get rid of stuff? Like I couldn't get rid of the license to
Right.
drive. The
Right.
DVD's got more features.
But I also want to say, guys, the chat's been on fire all night. I'm sorry if I didn't get to all the questions. We were kind of deep in conversation here. We've already gone 2 hours. I told him we'd
I
get here.
know.
I said 60 to 90 minutes, and we're already here 2 hours. But guys,
Oh, sorry, man.
if it wasn't for the conversation and the chat, we would have already ended. So thanks everybody
Oh, appreciate you.
for doing that and for hanging out with us tonight. And if you're watching right now, hit that like button before we leave. If you're watching on the replay, hit the like button as well. Share it out, and you can find him over at 80s Made or 80s Made Consumer. And guys, thank you again for checking this out. This is Garrett at Born to be Rad. And like always, stay